I literally talk easier because of this. So that's the important news that we have right now. Smash that like button if you guys have not already. We do have definitely a ton of updates today. So I am really excited to what will happen to XRP because the SEC lawsuit is finally over. And we have been waiting this for quite a while. And that being said, this was the big thing. I guess we kind of expected it for some time, but just it being revealed, you know, definitely hits a more positive note, and it's a really right direction. Like, it was about to happen, we just didn't know when.
Gentlemen, you wonderful people, the SEC case with XRP is over, and they just unleashed a massive tsunami on you guys, the wonderful XRP holders. So you know me, I gotta cover this news. We went over it on my live. Shout out to all of you guys who were in that live stream. I'm also going to be sharing some other really awesome news and what I think.
Yeah, so SEC case is finally over. We've been waiting that for a very long time. And it's absolutely amazing because people wanted to hear it, and now we are hearing it. And I feel like this is like what gives full confidence to any investors to finally move forward with XRP to make it get into a 10x. So yeah, just so you guys realize how important this is, there's companies who did not want to invest because of this simple update. But now we're seeing that we're getting stronger, and it's just the start. So let us check this out.
It's going to be happening based off of all of the information that we have here now. So please stay tuned until the very end, even if you know about this news, because listen, there's a lot more stuff coming. People are talking about major price predictions now going upwards of $10 per coin. I want to weigh in on this because this is the first catalyst that needed to happen in order for us to actually start seeing potential $10 price before the end of this year. Okay, so this is huge.
Yeah, so $10 price now is more viable. Again, it's going to be still very hard to hit, but it is becoming a real thing. $10 would be very nice to see. Again, $10 is still under Bitcoin's market cap.
SEC case is over. This is the official announcement in case you missed it. A joint stipulation of dismissal, basically saying it's an agreement between the SEC and the Ripple team just to throw this case out, shred it, forget about it. It is.
And it was said it is behind closed doors, but I feel like it's announced now. I feel like it was already confirmed a few weeks ago. But now with that being done, wow. Like, we are really moving the markets.
All history. With that all in mind, there's also some huge things that Donald Trump is doing right now. He went on live, Fox News, many other news media agencies today.
So yeah, I feel like he could also mention crypto here,
to announce a major announcement about the economy. In that, he went over how the middle class, the lower income class, and the higher income classes all have their wealth growing amazingly well, much higher than what you saw under Biden. The stats did not lie. But he also goes over inflation numbers, even with tariffs included, are much below expectations. Job numbers are in need of a rate cut. And ladies and gentlemen, we just saw England also cut their rates by 25 basis points, going down from 4.25% down to 4%.
So if the UK cuts their basis points, usually US will follow. But again, the best case scenario for the government is where everyone gets rich, not just one person. So that would be definitely very nice news for anyone coming in. We have been waiting for XRP to basically blow the top off, and this could be the major catalyst. You know, smash that like button, guys, if you haven't already. But seems like Trump coming in is just, it's gonna look better on his term if he actually goes big on this, right? If crypto pumps now, the first year of presidency, this is gonna be good for him. It's gonna look good. He's gonna basically get more followers, and that is why we are gonna be seeing a massive major run, in my opinion. Just from politics aside, it seems like the Trump wants to make everyone rich. Why? Have you ever heard anyone that complains that when the markets went up? No, everybody complains when the price is down of XRP. So here is where the real deal comes in, is this Trump presidency that, you know, this White House announcement is going to be the big thing that I'm also going to be talking about on this channel.
US and the UK were the only two nation states that were not lowering rates. Now it's just the United States of America when we're talking about the leading global economies. It's official. Europe has cut rates tremendously. The UK has cut rates. Canada has cut rates. China, Korea, Australia, you name it, they have cut rates.
Usually
the United States
US
of America is
delays
the last piece of the puzzle here. And everything that I am seeing is looking like it's gearing towards rate cuts for the United States of America to be cut come September. And this just solidifies what I was previously saying. Now, with all of that also in mind, we also have crypto czar David Sachs saying that the new executive order, in case you missed it, of President Trump signing into law today for the 401k to have cryptocurrency access will give 90 million Americans access to crypto through the 401k. That's another huge development. I was doing the math, and even if just 10%...
So yeah, we're already seeing banks as well entering, like giving option for crypto. So this is another thing that people love to see, right? We are getting the US government to basically give full access to banks, which is trillions and trillions of potential money coming into crypto markets. This is why $10 XRP is definitely possible. I feel like even $7 XRP is not out of the question this year. $5 almost certain in my opinion. Again, not financial advice, but what we've been seeing before, it definitely shows that we are on the right path right now.
Of people who have a 401k start putting some capital into XRP or other cryptocurrencies, that's going to be tens of billions of dollars. Every single year, Americans put hundreds of billions of dollars into their 401k. So even if just 10%, a small portion of them start getting cryptocurrency with that, it could potentially bring in tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions of dollars in liquidity.
What Levi didn't mention here is a lot of this money, a lot of people want to buy crypto, but they don't have no idea how. So this is going to make it way easier for anyone wanting to buy crypto. They will just buy it off top, right? They will buy it off a bank with a single transaction.
So that's another big piece of news. It's just another piece of the puzzle. This is not going to be the single largest driver, but it's once again a piece to it. We also have major banks now able to actually pitch their clients with cryptocurrency ETFs directly. So that alone could also drive hundreds of billions of dollars of volume. It's when you start stacking all of these things on top of each other, right? Potential Fed rate cuts, the SEC case ending, you have the 401k, you have wealth advisors pitching to clients. When you add all those things on top of each other, that's when you start getting into the trillions of dollars of potential capital coming in, right? The rate cuts alone could be trillions of dollars. I want to make sure it's very abundantly clear. That is probably the...
So yeah, not only good news for the stock market, but also good news for anyone holding crypto now. Again, we went from stock market news like rate cuts. We literally went to Trump talking about straightforward for crypto. Crypto is becoming mainstream, guys. It's finally happening, just like we wanted to see it. And this could be the new plan, the new beginning to see crypto go to the moon, basically. Like the SEC lawsuit being over is, again, a prerequisite for XRP reaching $5. But it is the start of a momentum. And I'm telling on this channel right now all the time, if we want to get to $5, we need good news, good news, good news after good news every single week, right? It's not just going to magically pump after the rate cuts. But if you keep getting good news, the market is forced to pump because it means more people will buy. It's very simple.
Single largest impactor. But then on top of all of those dominoes I just told you guys, you also have the ETFs. There are so many positive catalysts coming to fruition before this year end, in my point of view. I think ETFs come in September. I think rate cuts come in September based off of what I'm seeing. And those things alone, trillions of dollars, guys. That is insane. Trillions of dollars flowing in, M2 supply growing, more people looking for riskier.
Also, unemployment data. I was already talking about how unemployment data is important. But if people can be employed, it means they can put more money into the markets back. And now that's exactly what they're going to be doing.
Assets like XRP, like Bitcoin, like Ethereum, and the numbers don't lie. People are pouring in. We're also seeing President Trump officially signing the executive order to stop banking discrimination against crypto, religion, and politics happening at this time too. So that is a lot. Banks can no longer debank you because you're investing into cryptocurrency because of this bill. That was a huge problem in America, and this is going to make sure that banks do not abuse their powers in America either. I got to say, I'm incredibly impressed with this. And so you got to look at this chart. XRP.
Yeah, 330. Like literally broke 330 or whatever it is by the time you're watching this video. It picked up and scooped on. Seems like a whale bought a few days before. As I was telling you guys, my chart is going exactly as predicted. We're still in those ranges. But here we go. Like this is the new thing. There was a whale. The people who sold at 3.24, there was a whale picking this money up.
He's getting ready to hit new highs again, $3.30 per coin. I mean, it's insane. If we test and break this level, we're going to keep running. And this is why, of course, getting to a $10 per XRP price target is actually very reasonable. And also, I want to point out that the technical indicators are very well supporting this as well. If you look at the stochastic RSI, we're just starting to trend up from being oversold. And we just got a massive 10% single day candle. And this day has just started. This day has literally just...
So yeah, one thing that you people forgot about is when, Korean investors wake up. So this is literally going to be in a few hours. Every time we see a pump, there's a second wave pump. You see a small dip. It's when Korean investors wake up and see, oh, the markets, because they're not working 24/7, they see the markets pumping and literally join in.
Times to be one.
So yeah, it really does seem like XRP is on the big move right now. Everything shows towards it. Just look at this. This is absolutely huge. Like, look at this. This changes everything. If you hold XRP better, watch now. And the entire market here is green.
Some major announcement coming in. It's quite a coincidence because we spoke about, the SEC.
So yeah, I feel like the SEC lawsuit was over 2 weeks ago, but they just don't announce it like literally off the top. They're going to take their time. And some of the whales probably bought this. Some of the whales in the inside circles, in my opinion, have already known this info. And, with this announcement being here, you can see that XRP is here 8%. So why is Pump growing more? Is because literally XRP is top 3 coin. It grew more than Ethereum. It grew more than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not on this chart as far as I see it, So XRP is literally a big bubble compared to other coins, which are very low cap.
And of course, the Ripple lawsuit just yesterday in my update, which was of course not too long ago, midnight yesterday. But yeah, let's talk about what's happening because we have some big news to cover. The broader market actually seen a push towards the upside. Bitcoin, it did push above that 115,000 first time since the month of August that, we have broken above the 115,000. So that's a big plus point that we can kind of take away right now. But XRP up about 8% with the price.
I mean, with so many people, I feel like the next wave of retail investors, they're not going to be talking about Bitcoin because they feel like they missed out on Bitcoin. They will be talking about XRP because that's what will give them hope, right? That's what they will feel like. Everybody's talking about XRP, so why should I get Bitcoin? I feel like I already missed out, especially with these big institutions buying. Guess what? This could be trillions and trillions coming into XRP in the long term. In the midterm, it could be billions and billions.
It's currently sitting at $3.25. We're starting to see things heat up very fast. And Bitcoin comparative up 6.8%. But look at the valuation, $192.8 billion. We're approaching almost $200 billion for the valuation. And that's how fast things have switched. And the 24-hour trading volume at about $6.2 billion. But before we get into any further, as always, just a quick disclaimer, anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto.
So yeah, this is over. This piece of paper costs $500 million. 500 million, guys. Why? Because this was one of the most expensive crypto lawsuits probably in the history of the world. It cost $500 million, both taxpayers and Ripple combined, if I remember correctly. So with that being over, imagine where all these funds will go, either in crypto treasuries, either in positive stuff, like crypto development, XRP development. Again, this is the big thing. This is sealed off. They don't need to pay for the lawyers anymore. And people forget that. People forget to mention how expensive the lawyers were costing XRP. And this came from somewhere, people selling XRP.
Have filed a joint dismissal of the appeals. The case is officially over. And now, the judge is pretty much going to come out and put this to rest, once and for all. And this is a pivotal moment for XRP and Ripple. Bigger than a lot of people anticipate. Huge news for the XRP community, and that of course explains why we're seeing the price.
So yeah, all of this money that we used to be sold to, actually fund this XRP stuff is now finally over. So much money can be now coming in. Again, a lot of money can be coming in from the lawsuit into markets like XRP. They don't need to sell the tokens anymore. They had to sell billions and like 500 million. If you have to sell 500 million here when you saw these crashes, right? They had to sell even when it was 50 cents to pay the lawyers. That's just the way it was. It was a very expensive lawsuit. And of course, they also paid from their own work, from what I remember correctly, from their own profits. So Ripple is now going to have way more money for everything.
Price of XRP breaking out, and with the way things are happening, we could be retesting some very critical levels in the next few hours to come, which of course we'll talk about a little later in this update. But take a look at what Smoke says. When this case is settled, this will give the seal of approval to central banks and other.
This is what I've been telling you guys. We are now getting the approval of the banks, the big money, to have these partnerships, to have Ripple be its own bank. They didn't want that before. They were like, no, we don't want you because this lawsuit is going to be super expensive and it's going to be risky for our brand. Why would we work with XRP? Now with that being over, SEC basically lost only in one and only some cases, which it doesn't even matter. The most important case is that right now XRP has just opened trillions of partnerships, trillions of potential partnerships, and billions of dollars of money could be flowing into XRP because now institutions are not scared to say, I invested in XRP because I know my money will not go poof, will not go away if XRP is a security. No, just imagine, like if you think I am joking with you, imagine when all the exchanges on the day that XRP was sued pulled it out of the exchange for a very clear reason. They didn't want the risk of being, in a huge lawsuit. And they didn't feel like that trading volume or the money they make is worth it. Now, the lawsuit was over, everybody listed it back. And the price immediately jumped from 20 cents, 30 cents to like $2. Amazing.
Financial institutions to start using XRP through the XRPL ledger. And remember the NDAs, there's so many NDAs, I believe 1,700 NDAs that Ripple has going for itself, which of course we don't really know about. And maybe now this kind of opens the floodgates for more
ETFs. That's what I've been telling you guys. ETFs are coming as well.
More ETFs, more institutional interest, maybe corporations that were sidelined that wanted to come and get XRP on their balance sheets. Maybe now they are going to start looking at it from a different lens because of course we are hearing some big.
And just with that, another good news came also. I will show you guys. Ripple acquired Rail for $200 million. Just shows you how much money they have.
News coming out of this specific lawsuit. So I think we're about to see a big shift coming in, and then that Ripple Swell event that's coming. Where BlackRock employees going to be talking about that Ripple Swell event. Are we going to see a potential spot ETF from the Fidelity and BlackRock? Of course, that itself would be quite a bullish statement itself. But this is bigger than a lot of people realize. The price is showing that right now, and I think next few hours could.
Yeah. So people who said this is not a big thing. SEC when XRP officially listed commodity under CFTC event contracts. So this officially confirms it forever that XRP is safe from the massive lawsuit.
Be very, very important, especially if the price of XRP is able to break out of the key levels. Look at what Safe says.
Smash that like button, guys, as well.
Listed as commodity under CFTC event contracts. XRP commodity, not a security. Big win for clarity and institutions. XRP just joined the elite club of Wall Street. Elite club, and Wall Street is now watching. And Wall Street has been watching, believe it or not, for quite some time. But I think this is a big moment. But look,
this could be a big influx of other traders coming inside, XRP. Look at this trading volume, guys. Look at that. So what this tells me is Upbit is a Korean-based exchange, is a big trading volume. So look at Upbit XRP Korean won. This is because such a big amount of these trades are from Korean holders, Korean traders. So yeah, just think about it. Now every Korean is going to be waking up and they're actually rooting, it's a very big market there. And they're going to wake up and they're going to trade possibly millions and millions.
Fact that what's happening, and what's even interesting right now is the fact that Bitcoin is pushing towards the upside, dominance is pulling down. It's a win-win situation right now, and I think things could start really looking positive based off of what we're seeing right now, especially this announcement, which came much quicker than I honestly anticipated. But in terms of a timeline perspective, it is amazing. You can see dominance is pulling down 61.17%. Amazing to see. Let's hope we could break down to 60.7%. That would be amazing. If you're looking at BTC, Bitcoin has pushed up, and let me show you guys Bitcoin on an hourly perspective. So you could see, we were having a little bit of a hard time breaking out of that 115,000 key resistance. We broke out of here, and exactly what I talked to you guys about, the 117,000 to be the next level. That's exactly where we are right now, and this is really bullish because if we're able to close a daily candle around here, I'm anticipating 118,000 and start heading towards our all-time highs. But as far as XRP is concerned, because that's what everyone is here for, you could see XRP is pushing and start retesting our yearly levels, which of course kind of dates back to the 2018 levels of resistance. And of course we know the significance of this range, but I want you guys to take a look at this on an hourly perspective because the next few hours are very, very important, because if the price of XRP is able to break out of this key range, I'm anticipating some crazy price action in a short span of time. So
yeah, price action from the Korean markets. Again, so much money coming in. We have been waiting this for a long time, but just Ripple being bought out or buying Rail for 200 million definitely means we are in a positive market, and this is the start. So this is the big thing. Ripple just acquired after this announcement is most people are talking about the SEC lawsuit being over, but you guys failed to realize there is another big news I have for you guys. Ripple buying the big thing, and that is Rail. Now, what is Rail and why is it important? And why is this such an important thing? Because Ripple could now afford this after the lawsuit and also got the legal clarity to have a new payment processor. And again, this is very big for XRP. XRP is probably going to have to handle worldwide transactions with this, which is what I've been telling you guys. They're one step closer to getting worldwide. They can't transfer that yet, or they can't process, 7 billion people, maybe 200 million, but they're forcing themselves or pushing themselves to go worldwide, guys. Absolutely insane content.
The latest acquisition is challenging Swift. If you haven't heard of a company called Rail, don't worry, I have all the information to keep you up to date. Let's go ahead and get into this and how this is going to benefit XRP holders. Paul Barron said it first here. Swift warning, Ripple has just acquired Rail Finance for $200 million.
$200 million.
This isn't just another crypto acquisition. It's a strategic play that could reshape how businesses move money globally. So, they're wanting to challenge Swift's dominance here, long-standing dominance over cross-border transaction infrastructure. Why this Rail acquisition matters for Ripple: immediate scale and global reach. Rail processes over 10% of the global.
So yeah, guys, if you don't know, Ripple is basically also going for RWA, real-world assets, and basically stablecoin payments. So that has been their main thing. It's trying to hit different markets because the crypto markets are expanding very fast. If you're the first thing, like Amazon was the first thing in making deliveries, you can actually get that big market share before anyone else. It's absolutely mind-blowing. It's like we are in a startup phase for crypto.
B2B stablecoin payments amounting to billions in annual volume. This gives Ripple an instant leap in transaction flow and global payment network presence. So understand right now they're only processing 10% of business to business via stablecoins. But think about this. We're being told by the US government that they think the stablecoin market is going to grow into the multi-trillions just in the next few years. So looking at these numbers, I know it's like, Sensei, 10 billion is not a lot. I totally get that. But where do you think this is going to be? 2 or 3?
So yeah, the US government is definitely going to go more bullish on crypto overall and stablecoin market. That's why banks are starting to use it. And once we have the banks coming in, wow, look at that, 10%, even owning 10% of all these transfers. If these transfers are going to become from billions to trillions, I feel like they can get that 200 million back very fast. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to scale.
3 or 5 years from now, this could be a huge acquisition down the line. Transforming settlement speeds, Rails infrastructure enables cross-border settlements that typically take days via Swift now settle in hours or even minutes using stablecoins. This is a dramatic improvement in speed, crucial for businesses managing global cash flow. The cost and savings for businesses, the new combined platform can reduce payment costs by 80% or more compared to legacy banking and wire transfers. This is possibly thanks to seamless stablecoin rails and automated treasury and back office infrastructure. It also says stablecoin sandwich tech, Rail pioneered technology that bridges fiat and blockchain stablecoin businesses, and banks can transfer value in and out of stablecoin based rails without directly managing crypto wallets.
So yeah, that's what banks want to do. They want to do it very easily and they want to do it fast. And XRP is going to do that for them for a fee. And they're going to earn a bit of percentage every time this happens. So I feel like this is going to be the big news that most people are looking for. What XRP is doing is a compliant hybrid model that matches real-world regulatory needs when unlocking the advantages of blockchain settlement. So what that means is basically they are going to fix a lot of the problems banks are having right now for a small transaction fee and slowly recoup those 200 million for the company they bought.
Accounts. This creates a compliant.
You know, Swift is a big thing. It's a big market share, and they're getting so many fees. They're getting trillions and trillions, basically, of that small percentage fees, which is a few billion per year. Again, this is what Ripple is trying to do. It's not just trying to hit crypto. It's trying to go 10 times larger.
Hybrid model that matches real-world regulatory needs while unlocking the advantages of blockchain settlement. Virtual accounts and automated compliance. Rails platform brings
XRP would be nice
virtual IBAN
retirement
accounts,
plan.
automated treasury flows, and strong compliance framework, enabling businesses to run global operations without managing dozens of foreign banking partners. The regulatory alignment is 24/7 operation with recent U.S. stablecoin regulation. Ripple and Rail together offer a solution that meets the new global standards, operates around the clock, and avoids traditional banking cutoffs. And so the strategic impact for Ripple versus Swift here, challenging Swift's $3 trillion stronghold.
So yeah, the number one issue in crypto right now is how much the banks are having issues buying crypto. You need to make an account, you need to do this and that. When it's going to be all simplified, again, why is Amazon making so much money? Because it's very simple to use. And this is what Ripple is trying to do. It's trying to make purchases simple for everyone. And it's going to make a lot of money for people. The SEC lawsuit being over is just the start.
Dominates the traditional $3 trillion cross-border payments industry, but it operates on an aging, fragmented infrastructure prone to delays, high fees, and business hour limitations. Ripple's move positions in a viable alternative, especially for corporate and financial clients looking for real-time, reliable, and low-cost money movement. End-to-end, all-in-one platform, Ripple can now offer an end-to-end solution, stablecoin issuance, RLUSD, settlement rails, compliance, virtual accounts, and back-office automation, all under one global API. This level of integration gives Ripple a strong value proposition versus the piecemeal account-based world of Swift. Of course, enhanced competitive assets. This acquisition not only accelerates Ripple's stablecoin ambitions, but it also lets it rapidly expand its enterprise customer base, bank partners, and regulatory partnerships around the globe. Why businesses care: minutes, not days, lower cost, no crypto balance.
So yeah, I think XRP's number one plan is to get cost low as possible when sending these transfers That's why banks want to really use them, is because all these transfers we're having right now can get very expensive for banks. And if we can make it just maybe a 10% of the total cost we're having now, it would save banks probably millions per month. And that's why they love using Ripple. Fast transactions and cheap. You can send it for like 1/20th of a penny. You can send your transaction, and that's exactly what banks want. They want, the more transactions banks have, the more money they get in fees.
Sheet risk and ready for regulation. Now, the benefit here that
So powers over 10% of all global business-to-business stablecoin payments. But the thing is, Ripple realizes that right now crypto is about to boom. What happens is right now they will have a bigger and bigger market share with more and more people coming in. It's absolutely a win-win for everyone.
I see is there's going to be a lot of these companies that get gobbled up, right? Banks, especially right now, are looking for infrastructure.
Smash that like button, guys. Thank you so much.
So this could, I know we're looking at this like, 10 billion or 6 billion. That's not a whole lot of money right now, but where is this going to be years down the line? Also, Ripple could buy this company, use, its technology to better their own. And then if they're looking to sell it.
I definitely feel like they're going to use the technology that Rail has to literally look how to make it better. It's going to be a win-win for them. They probably bought all the patents as well, all the, things that would make transactions faster, because Rail is like a competitor to Swift. But combining Rail and Ripple together, all the employees, all the expertise, is basically like combining Facebook and Amazon together to become the next big thing.
Down the line, they could also do that. But you got to understand, there's just so many pieces on the board right now, and Ripple wants to be the most strategic crypto infrastructure company on the planet, and to do that they're going to need to make more of these acquisitions. So it was just a matter of time before we heard something.
So now that they're making more money with bank partnerships, they could just like buy all the companies and have a bigger market share of everything, like dip their toes, because the more money you make, the more partnerships you make, also means you need more employees. So that's what they're focusing on right now.
Something like this. But here you go. Crypto Erie said Ripple acquires Rail. Rail Finance powers 10% of global B2B stablecoin payments volume. Hey fam, please don't tell Caitlin Long why Ripple was the perfect fit. Premium digital asset liquidity, including RLUSD and XRP, alongside like USDT and USDC. Chad Steingraber also pointed out that Rail is connected through FedWire, ACH, SEPA, FPS, and SWIFT. So this does give Ripple some direct access into these systems. We've shown on this channel many times that Ripple's already interconnected through partners to all of these systems, but here is just now a direct connection into those systems that Ripple will actually own, instead of going into through a third party or a partner. Now Ripple is there, right? And so here is the supported payment rails: crypto, FedWire, ACH US, SEPA EU, FPS UK, and SWIFT. So that's really good to see. And then here,
Rail is joining Ripple, a huge milestone in our mission to build trusted enterprise-grade infrastructure for global payments. We power 10% of all business-to-business stablecoin volume. Again, Ripple knows that stablecoins are going to be used for the future of payments, especially businesses will start to use it because the governments have literally confirmed it. And they're saying, we are going to have a big thing, planned. This deal proposition as a leading provider of cross-border stablecoin payment infrastructure and gives Rail the ability to scale with more speed and certainty. We'll do that together. So seeing that 10% rise with you and Ripple lead. So it literally will make the transactions even faster than it was before, forcing the banks to work with them. This is a $200 million buy, and nobody's talking about this. Nobody on the crypto news. And again, this got only 100K impressions. That's why I love showing it on this channel. Nobody wants to show this type of news because it might be boring to some people, but this is what in the end makes Ripple the most money. The SEC lawsuit is definitely nice, but these type of transactions are what's working the engine, what's working in the background.
Partnerships like this, you see when Ripple is interested about announcing their partnership, they go out of their way to not only have the company announce it, but Ripple will also announce it too. I've seen a lot of people say that, hey, we're going to be working with Ripple, but Ripple's very quiet about working with that company. Here is, the exact example of what you want to see when companies do get acquired in the crypto space. Both sides are talking about it. And then, of course, you know, Crypto Eerie is really bullish on this. Also,
Metacomp to distribute the stable coins from Ripple and supercharge stable X for cross-border payments. So another listing for the stable coins as well. I feel like the more time passes, the more Ripple is going to be listed on all these exchanges. It's just a smaller news because most of these are, you know, small companies. They don't really bring that much volume. But again, these small companies will lead up to the big listings.
To distribute RLUSD stablecoin and supercharged stable X for cross-border payments. This is today's date. Metacorp lists RLUSD for stable X, bringing Ripple's USD stablecoin to its FX infrastructure to enable fast, compliant cross-border payments in 31 currencies. Talks about, this is a Singapore press wire. Metacorp, a leading Singapore-based license provider for stablecoins powered cross-border payment infrastructure, announced the distribution of Ripple RLUSD and Ripple's native USD-denominated stablecoin issued by Standard Custody and Trust Company LLC, a wholly owned subsidiary of Ripple Labs. Metacorp will provide institutional access to RLUSD through its compliant infrastructure. So that's actually pretty cool too. 31 supported currencies, you know, so interconnecting Ripple's technology with the rest of the world. I'd imagine you're going to get a whole lot more connections here. Just a little bit more information.
I don't feel like this is that great of a news. Again, that's why most people are not talking about this. It is good news. I don't think it's going to change, you know, the whole price of XRP, but I feel like more people from Singapore, maybe a small percentage, who want to do business in stablecoins will now have that option available when we are getting more regulatory clarity in September of 2025.
Information about Metacorp, if you didn't know, Metacorp is a leading Singapore-based digital asset platform licensed and regulated by the Monetary Authority of Singapore under the Payment Services Act of 2019, operating a person to business.
You have to turn them up by a lot. That's the max as it goes.
To company, person to bank to company, platform, business partners to clients model. Metacomp enables institutions, payment service providers, fintechs, and global enterprises to confidently navigate.
I feel like something is wrong with my audio here, but we get the point here that, you know, Metacomp entering is the next big thing that we are trying to see here. It's becoming like a, you know, bunch of collaborations coming together. I still feel like the biggest news that we have right now is XRP being listed as commodity, XRP having all these updates. That is the big thing that people have been waiting for. And this is the next phase for crypto. This is a big multiplier. And, you know, this type of news might not be the most exciting, but it's going to push for XRP to hit $10 this year. So there's also 1,250x multiplier to boost XRP to 1,000.
Quantum computers could.
So look at this. This is absolutely insane. If we can see 1,000x, you know, like we are already seeing so much trading volume, that would be definitely amazing for anyone holding XRP, because they would literally turn millionaires overnight. Over 133 million in 24-hour trading volume on a bit. And again, this is what I've been telling you guys. Koreans are the next big thing that, you know, we are waiting for. They also have tons of regulation. South Korea passes major tokenized security law. Banks can now tokenize bonds, stocks, and private equity on blockchain. That's what I was telling you guys. RWA, real world assets, are becoming the thing. And Korea, once they do their own type of security and commissions and everything like that, that's when we're really going to be seeing crypto explode, because we have to have the regulation in place before we see the retails entering. Hey, Jonathan.
And how this can impact us, the XRP holders. So South Korea's groundbreaking new law on tokenized securities, enabling banks and financial institutions to tokenize bonds, stocks, and private equity on blockchain, marks a systemic shift in the region's approach to digital assets. This large change, combined with South Korea's position as one of the most active crypto markets and XRP's top status by trading volume, has several crucial implications for the Ripple ecosystem. So let's go ahead and understand what the South Korean law does. The law modernizes existing securities rules, explicitly allowing the tokenization of traditional financial assets using blockchain technology. Distributed ledger technology is now legally recognized as a medium of issuance and settlement of securities, aligning with tokenized securities with established processes for clearing, settlement, and investor protections. Remember, all over the world, countries in all these different jurisdictions are trying to figure out the best path forward.
That's why like companies in Korea did not buy XRP yet, is because they were afraid that, you know, they will have a problem if they buy it. They thought it will be a security, and that's why we didn't get anyone in these big companies. You know, been saying it for months about South Korea. That's the thing. South Korea, it has so much money. You guys have to realize South Korea has a big portion of money coming in, and they have not been buying Terra Luna Classic, which has a similar technology to XRP and less demand, so to say. Terra Luna Classic right now has gone off, and only one person, or well, one project has survived, and that is XRP. And all of these people who bought XRP, we're seeing, you know, this 2050x is now possible because you had a market before from going all the way from Terra Luna Classic. You see all this money coming now to XRP. So if you understand me, all the money from Terra Luna Classic is now coming to XRP from the Korean markets. I know it's a bit hard to understand, but the main point here is tokenization is becoming a real thing. We're having retail investors coming in, and we're also seeing a lot of people coming back to crypto. More and more people are talking about crypto nowadays.
It's old to the new blockchain system that all of this value is going to wind up on. This is why we talk about HBAR and XRP and other asset classes that we see, like Algorand as well, that are going to be home to trillions of dollars of financial assets here in the future. It also says the Financial Services Commission and newly established Korea Digital Asset Industry Association will set rules and oversee compliance, including for crypto exchanges, custodians, and brokers, and institutional participation, which was previously restricted, will now be permitted for regulated entities. Nice. The law is part of a regional push across Asia to integrate digital assets.
So yeah, Asia is still a very big market for crypto, which I feel like trillions could be coming in, or at least billions, but trillions on the long term. Because again, trillions might now sound insane, like 1 to 3 trillion. But we already see the crypto market being very undervalued, in my opinion, at 3 trillion. 1 trillion in XRP is not that insane when more and more money is getting printed into this world. And more of this money is going to go into crypto. There's so much money which went into real estate, which real estate might still go up. And people will be looking for the next big thing, which is XRP.
Into traditional finance and designed to attract global capital and foster innovation. So XRP's dominance in South Korea. XRP is the most traded token in South Korea's major exchanges, often exceeding Bitcoin and Ethereum in local volume. For example, on Upbit, XRP's recently accounted for 19% of daily trading volume, with about 671 million per day. The thing is, if
I'm pretty sure they have like 30% of trading volume. So 30% of trading volume, this small country, it's a lot of people. But instead of like 30%, and probably like 50% is US. So it definitely makes you think like they have a big market opening up into XRP.
When XRP takes off and gets us to a place where a lot of us can say, you know, boss, you know, here, who's looking forward to making this phone call? You know what, boss? I will be making it in today. Yeah, I'm a millionaire now. Good luck. Take care. I know a lot of us are waiting to make that phone call, right? See, except my phone call will probably be to my wife saying, hey, babe, you know.
So yeah, I probably was muted there, but what I basically said is big amounts of money are coming into XRP, which I am definitely excited because it's a very big crypto market cap. So yeah, that's the most important factor, is all of this money is Korea is a pretty big market that we haven't been seeing, you know, before enter because of all this regulation problems.
It's time you can quit your job now instead of me calling my boss, but all good. South Korea's financial institutions, through regulated custodians like BDAX, can now safely and legally custody and transact with XRP, making it much easier for banks and corporations to integrate XRP into their operations and portfolios. That is exactly what we want to see. Ripple's strategic moves and institutional partnerships. Ripple has announced new partnerships in South Korea, such as BDAX for institutional.
Yeah, so the Asian markets are pretty big for crypto. It could literally, be trillions coming in. I don't know if you guys heard me, but, billions. There's so much money in the markets.
XRP custody, which allows banks, investment firms, and corporations to interact with XRP within a compliant domestic framework. This reduces prior uncertainty and the need for cumbersome offshore arrangements.
So yeah, there's also Southeast Asian markets. I know they don't bring as much money. Japanese markets. There is a lot more money than just Korea that we could be seeing a very big trend. But again, Korea is going to be the first one that is going to take the regulation in check. And we are going to be seeing a very big portion of people coming into crypto. And, just from Korea. Korea is like 30% of trading volume. So there could be, billions and billions pumping right now.
Ripple is investing in market education, developer initiatives, and product integration, specifically in Korea, as part of its partnership with Catalyze Research and concerted outreach efforts. Also, too, if XRP is the most traded cryptocurrency in South Korea, if and when this all takes off, aren't South Koreans going to benefit the most from this? Because that is what they are actively most interested in.
Especially Korean institutions. I don't feel like there's any Korean institution that has bought into XRP yet. Maybe a very small portion is a Korean institution. So again, who has the most money? Big corporations. Big corporations buying crypto is going to be the next big thing in 2026.
Over Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I think when you look at XRP's use case compared to Bitcoin right now, XRP has
so XRP I feel like has more use case. The reason why I feel like Bitcoin will go up is because it has the ETF first, and also it was way earlier than XRP. So you can see here business to business payments. Bitcoin only has store of value, but it's always going to be on the number one spot because it is the first crypto to come out. Always, like Amazon is always going to be the number one because Amazon has been the first. But XRP is going to be first in these transactions, these transfers. There's other competitors who might do it better, but they will never have the partnerships that XRP has. So keep that in mind. There are other projects, in my opinion, that are better, at doing what XRP does, are doing more transfers, faster transfers, but they will never work with banks. They don't have enough funds to set up those expensive meetings. And, XRP will slowly but surely catch up with the $200 million partnership to become the number one payment transfer for fast transfers, projects, whatever, you name it.
A lot more to offer. Now, it's a little more complicated when you go Ethereum to XRP because we are just now getting the EVM sidechain on the XRP ledger, where developers are starting to come in and build this infrastructure that's going to require more XRP. But Ethereum has had all of this for many years, and that's why they have so much development and deployment building out on Ethereum. Let's see here. We talked about Ripple is investing in market education. As the country rolls out legal clarity for security tokens and tokenized asset trading, Ripple's infrastructure, especially the XRP ledger, programmability and compliance features, can position XRP as a bridge asset for cross-border and multi-asset settlements in South Korea and beyond. South Korea's move aligns its regulatory regime with global trends and is likely to...
So I remember when South Korea was super anti-crypto, but now it's so many traders, they're finally finding out what crypto is. And a lot of traders will now have option to buy more of their XRP, or actually buy it and have a use case for it. And that's what I feel like is also going to happen in the US. That's why USA is racing, because if right now XRP has 30% of volume from Korea, this is why Korea is, boosting it, because they see so much of a big impact with crypto. That's why the US is pushing for a crypto law, why Trump is pushing for a crypto law, is because we see both of them. We see so many eyes on crypto right now, and they see potential loss of revenue. They see that, people could be investing in US companies and Ripple, but they cannot because they're afraid of regulation. And when you have $5 million, regulation is very important.
To accelerate institutional adoption of digital assets. So this is where, more institutions will want and need this technology. And if these institutions want to build treasuries or they want to build different financial products inside of their institutions to use crypto for instant settlement or for the tokenization of financial assets, they can go right to Ripple and say, hey, we want to work with your technology. And Ripple will say, hey, what do you need? When do you need it by? And we'll send a team to make that happen. For Ripple and XRP, this regulatory clarity and recognition provides new use cases, facilitating enterprise adoption, financial market integration, and serving as
So if right now XRP is 30% of Korea or Korea trading volume, this means that there is potentially under-tapped markets in Europe, Africa, Southeast Asia. So guys, we're always focusing on the US ETF, but you gotta realize that there are plenty of these countries which they don't have the transfers yet and they wanna have cheap transfers because again, it's a lot of money, especially $1 maybe in another country is way more than in the US. So here's the real thing is why no YouTubers are talking about how much XRP will grow in Southeast Asian countries and Japan and all these, I can call them second world countries because I'm from a second world country, if that's not too demeaning. But the important factor is we are seeing right now XRP literally going, from first world countries to massive worldwide adoption.
A liquidity token for tokenized real-world assets. South Korea is watched closely by other Asian financial centers. Its legal clarity and market innovation could boost regional demand for compliant liquid tokens like XRP to serve payment and remittances and settlement needs.
Yeah, so right now this means that Korea will be able to use it for any type of payments, even to the companies or businesses. And I feel like this is why the $200 million deal with Rail was made from XRP side is because they realize, hey, business to business stablecoins. What does this mean? Is when you pay Ripple's XRP stablecoins or whatever they call XRP ledger, XRP dollars, whatever you want to call them, when you pay to another company, it's now going to be the big thing of the future. Again, right now it might sound crazy because you have to use the blockchain, but soon it will be very simplified. And with that being said, this is going to be becoming the mainstream thing right now. When you save a bunch of money on transfers, that's where XRP will make its money and where we will see XRP burns happening. So yeah, opens the door for XRP to be used by institutional investors as a settlement asset or bridge currency. And again, tokenization is the big thing I was talking is becoming very strong in 2025. Ripple's ongoing integrations, partnerships, and legal clarity following progress in US its case positioned XRP favorably as Korea and Asia more broadly lead in tokenized assets and blockchain adoption. So we're literally one step closer to $10 XRP with this.
In a nearly interoperable digital finance sector. So lots of potential impacts there. Let's get to this information now. A digital asset investor did post this. Let it sink in, then lock in. So we're talking about $3 to $8 billion in inflows by JP Morgan analysts for the spot XRP ETFs. Now we know just because, if we get $3 or $8 billion in inflows, that is going to change the market cap way far beyond just $3 to $8 billion.
I feel like a lot more is going to be coming out. Like these predictions, they're very humble when you think how much money is in the world right now.
That if we look at the actual data right now with inflows and outflows of XRP, we can see that the inflows to market cap change sometimes are compounded 100x, 500x. This recent one was 1250x. Let me show you this information. So Chad posted this on August 3rd. That was yesterday. Today is the 4th. This video will come out in the morning on the 5th. I will make sure Cass gets it out. It says dropping to a low of 272 in a 12-hour period, reverse back up nearly 20 cents, a market cap value of about $20 billion, full supply on a mere $16 million in net inflows. So you start to say, like, Sensei, okay, what is it?
So $60 million of pure cash is what will really change the game. Again, if you want to really see the markets move, it's not that hard as people think. The crypto market is not really 3 trillion. That's just the market cap is what Crypto Sensei is trying to make sense of. So here we see if JP Morgan's prediction of 3 to 8 billion of inflows into hypothetical spot XRP ETF came true, I feel like it's not going to be like 3 to 8 billion. It's probably going to be like 1 to 3 billion or 1 to 2 billion. However, even a direct calculation shows multipliers of around 2.5x to 6.6x. So that's like $18 or $7, something like that. So $7 XRP, I feel like a lot of people would be happy. $18 XRP, a lot of people would be very pleased. And, you know, JP Morgan making this announcement definitely shows there's still room to grow here. It's not over yet.
What kind of are we talking about? What's the market cap multiplier? And here is the information. I posted the information, the photo. I asked, can you analyze this and tell me what the market cap multiplier is? The market cap multiplier for XRP, based on the information in the tweets and the chart, can be summarized as follows. The example highlighted by Chad Steingraber's approximately 16 million in net inflows resulted in 20 billion. This is a result in market cap multiplier of 1250x. Let that sink in. If you do $1 billion in inflows, and if you get a 1250x multiplier, that is $1.25 trillion in market cap. So you can imagine if we get 3 billion or $8 billion, and if we have something even close that resembles a 1200x market cap multiplier, we could be off to the races a lot.
So yeah, 1250x would be like what, 3000 XRP or 1437 would be definitely nice. I feel like the issue is when they talk about this is 1250x would be way harder than people, you know, think, because there would be also people selling. So there would be also outflows. I hope Crypto Sensei mentions that, because that's a pretty important thing, right? So yes, you can reach, you know, 1300x, but if a whale wakes up to be a billionaire, of course he's going to sell his XRP.
Faster than people assume. Let me show you this information. If we just took 3 billion on the lower amount, that would be about $3.77 trillion market cap. If we took 8 billion, we're talking about $10 trillion market cap for XRP. 3 billion inflows would be a $540 XRP.
So he used Perplexity AI, but the thing you have to consider is this is inflows, and there's also going to be outflows, people selling their XRP, because it's going to be trades. I mean, in theory, but even the price, your video gives me positive energy. So I'm so hyped, you know, like people are hyped to hit XRP, to see XRP hit 10 trillion market cap. And right now Bitcoin is 2 trillion. So if we want to see 10 trillion, it literally has to do 5x of Bitcoin right now. So I feel like 1,500 is too crazy, because it would have to do 5x more. But I feel like 1 trillion, like 10% of that is definitely very realistic. Like half of Bitcoin's supply. Again, Bitcoin is only a store of value, and XRP has so much more potential. This is where XRP really wins, right? But I'm definitely hoping like 1,400 would knock you off your feet. But I feel like these calculations, they're not 100% accurate, because people forgot about the outflows.
Understand the market cap multiplier is not always going to be a 1200x or a 600x or a 100x. It is going to start to get a little bit closer to that 1-to-1 ratio as more liquidity comes on chain. But since a lot of these tokens are illiquid with a lot of liquidity, this is why you get such drastic swings. Now, remember, the same 1250x for inflows going up can work the same way with sells going down. So it is a two-way street. We just need to make sure that we understand.
This always happens in crypto. Nowhere in crypto have you seen like Bitcoin just go up without anyone selling. This is the important factor. You're not just going to have inflows. You're also going to have people selling their XRP.
That. Also, you have Ripple now ranks among the top 25.
But yeah, being in the top 23rd on the list, again, I haven't heard most of these companies. I heard some of them, but it definitely seems like that Ripple still has time to grow. And if Stripe is $70 billion valuation, if they can even reach 10 billion or whatever they are, or like half of Stripe, they would be literally top 10. So are you telling me if they, you know, if Stripe is 70 billion, they cannot reach 70 billion themselves? It definitely seems to me that right now Stripe is leading in payments. and we can get at least, a third of this. So it can go at least to 25 billion. It can reach top 15 for sure. Yeah, payment transfers are worth a lot of money.
Most valuable private companies in the world with a $15 billion valuation per CB Insights. And so you have Ripple here down here under, it says 23. It's tied with all of these other companies. So if Ripple just gains a few more billion, they could be in the top 15, or even if they get to a place of top, if they get to like a $30 billion valuation, they could be in the top 10. In order to knock the top king off, they would need a $350 billion valuation to knock SpaceX out of their top spot. ByteDance, OpenAI. I mean, is this possible? Let me know what you guys think down below.
I feel like, ByteDance, isn't that like TikTok? That's going to be very hard to beat. Like SpaceX, again, this is like a rocket company. It's going to be hard right now, but maybe in the future, SpaceX goes to $1 trillion valuation, and of course, XRP follows, and it takes over SpaceX lead. It can, enter top 10, top 15. So Revolut being number 9 at 45 billion, wow, that is insane. That is like a virtual bank. It definitely makes you think that, like, for payment transfers, it can definitely reach in 30 billion valuation. What is XRP? Like, Ripple's valuation right now is top 25. So it could really catch up with the next crypto wave.
Ripple going to be able to achieve these valuations once they IPO and really take the company to the next level. Also, from Good Morning Crypto, Ripple reports Citibank, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and Japan's SBI have invested in 345 deals worth over $100 million between 2020 and 2024. What is this telling us right here?
This is telling us that if they're investing this much into Ripple, that means that we are going to get more continuous partnerships. Again, if they invested 100 million and they just bought a $200 million company, they probably have a lot of money coming in, Ripple. So they're not going to, I know a lot of people are very afraid if they're going to go bankrupt. That's a legitimate concern I heard from a lot of people. Are they going to go bankrupt during the next bear market? And I think with the lawsuit, it's going to be almost impossible for Ripple to go bankrupt because you're always going to need the demand for transfers.
This is telling us that the biggest banks and financial institutions in the world are interested in crypto-related companies, whether it's infrastructure, bridge assets, stable coins, whatever it is. These banks know that they need to have it. The next evolution of finance and banking is going to require the tokenization of financial assets. And these guys understand that. They pay tens of millions, probably hundreds of millions of dollars to analysts and executives.
They already had 345 deals, so they might have just like easily 1,000.
To make sure that they are prepared for what's to come.
I have just built a course for beginners, intermediate,
serial stance.
This is another thing, like how will White House digitalized report affect barter payment projects? So again, I've been telling you, regulation is what's keeping crypto away right now. The lack of regulation, and regulation takes time, right? Well, the US government just announced that from the White House directly, that they will be working on making these crypto regulations solvable.
Order DLT payment projects. I thought this was interesting to at least bring up on the back half of this video. It says the White House's new 166-page digital asset report delivers a clear message. Private sector innovation over government-issued digital currency, but the policy details reveal a more complex picture. Trump's January executive order banned CBDCs entirely and tasked the president's working group, notably excluding.
So stablecoins now having this regulation, we are one step closer to Ripple being basically the number 2 crypto, because that's what they've been waiting for, right? Regulation for their own ledger or their own blockchain, which they mostly transfer stablecoins. They mostly do payments with stablecoins, which is why they required regulation so badly.
The Federal Reserve and banking regulators with drafting, notably excluding, with drafting this comprehensive framework. Despite consulting these agencies, the report takes an adversarial stance toward them. And it says the ban initially appeared to cover all central bank digital currencies without distinction. However, the House recently passed the Anti-CBDC Surveillance Act targeting only retail CBDCs, leaving the question about wholesale versions used between institutions. That is interesting. We've had a conversation about this in the past, right? I get why you don't want a retail CBDC because, you know, people are afraid and worried that the government will use that to control them. And if you take a look at some countries right now, you are actively seeing how that is being weaponized and used in society. I won't name the country here, but I think we can guess the country has over 1 billion people in their population and is growing considerably. And they are one of the BRICS countries. I'm sure that you can figure that out now that I'm giving that information. But when you're talking about a wholesale CBDC, right, central bank to bank, that is where this didn't make sense, because those same issues about privacy and control really don't matter with a wholesale CBDC. That's not for you and me. That's not for businesses. That's for financial institutions and central banks. So you start to understand, like, hey, I do think they probably will move forward with this quietly in the background. I'll bring you all of the information and updates as
I feel like a lot of people are not upset about the CBDCs if they don't control you. Like, I feel like most people will be using stablecoins, Ripple stablecoins anyway. So that's the most important factor. They will be using, you know, Tether, XRP, as long as they're not forced upon you. But anyway, we got the ban already, so that's set in stone. So nothing is going to change on that part, whatever I say. The bans are here. Trump didn't want the bans, if I remember correctly, or he wanted the bans. There was a huge drama because a lot of people didn't want to sign it. So the Congress was like 50-50 on these CBDC bans, which is central bank digital currency. I don't feel like that's going to affect Ripple that much as people claim it's going to affect. Urgent warning for Ripple holders. Next phase incoming. So yeah, next phase for Ripple is coming, and this is what we have been waiting for. Again, the day reached a huge milestone for XRP, so smash that like button. I feel like we are just getting started. I feel like XRP is in a startup phase, and I feel like it is gonna go more up. But that's just my opinion. The most important factor is what is going to be the big warning. I talked about partnerships today. I talked about the SEC lawsuit. I talked about Korean traders. There is so much news, and that's why I love making videos about XRP, is because every single day the price is going up.
Havoc on our current financial system. But what is XRP and other crypto assets doing to help protect its ecosystems and its users from quantum attacks? Let's go ahead and explore where quantum computers are today and what needs to be done in the meantime to keep our crypto safe. Crypto Eerie posted this video, did a fantastic job. She put out a video yesterday. I watched it. It kind of blew my mind a bit, and so I wanted to research this. I was up, for hours last night, laying in bed, thinking about how I could better research this to better understand it, and this is the research I was able to put together. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Here is the video she put out just yesterday.
Just so the audience knows, a scalable functional quantum computer is within 3 years, according to our best experts around MIT, maybe even sooner. The software to run on it is next level, but it's software. It could be solved very, very quickly.
So what is the implications of that, Dave, if we had that?
Well, so nobody knows. Right now, quantum computers load very, very, very slowly, like thousands of times slower than a regular computer. But
I feel like a lot of these predictions were made about 3 years ago for quantum computers to be like that already. Again, how is it going to affect, people are afraid that they will lose their XRP if quantum computers are available by basically looking into your keys. But I really feel like that a lot of people are looking into AI to solve all these issues that we have in programming right now. Like, for example, you cannot solve XRP's problems with AI. You cannot just make a bunch of code, right? And here's the real deal, is that most people need to realize is that some of these things will take 10, 20, 30 years to develop. Even for XRP to reach $20, I feel like it's still 5 years away because of regulation, of also AI. You cannot speed this up, right?
All the stuff is in there. It processes instantaneously. What could take, a regular computer 100,000 years to compute, it can do in seconds, but only within very specific domains.
100,000 years of a regular computer, this could do in seconds. That's crazy.
So the question is optimizing a neural network one of those domains or not? Right. And I know aspects of it are. We've already gotten that far, but any bottleneck kills the whole system, right? So the whole thing has to port, or the hard inner loops need to port for it to be a big unlock. So nobody knows, but if math and physics are about to be quote unquote solved by AGI, maybe we'll know as soon as in the next 6-9 months.
Listen, quantum computers are going to unlock things that we've never even thought possible. Cures for diseases, I don't know what other kind of use cases they're trying to use this for, but I'd imagine it'll have some type of military application.
So what about XRP? The most important factor is, what is this going to affect with XRP? Now, he went here very deep on quantum resistant ledger, implements post-quantum cryptography. Okay, so this is the most important factor that I've been trying to tell you guys. Current security on XRPL. So right now, security is very important, especially if you're going to be handling trillions of transfers. The XRP, that's why I had to show you that maybe boring clip that some people didn't understand, is because if you want to understand what quantum computers are, they basically do all these transfers very fast. It's like kind of having like something resolved at a insane level. So it's going to be smarter than a person. But this is the important factor. This is what I wanted to show you guys. So thank you for waiting. Quantum resistance. So again, computers will be the big thing. Computers will be smarter than all of us. But there is preparations to make XRP quantum resistant. Now, what does that mean? It basically means you will not get attacked with a computer stealing your crypto password or whatever it is. So people are saying this will happen in 3 years. I think it will take way more than 3 years. But Ripple will make this progress for it to be future-proof for the next 20, 30 years. So yeah, just let that sink in. They're already thinking 10, 20, 30 years ahead.
They currently have already stolen, right? They can't look at it yet, but they will have access here in the future, in the upcoming years. It also says undermining the payment and settlement systems. This is something that we're talking about here, right? This is the important part. Financial institutions and payment networks.
So yeah, if you're a financial institution and you have a Ripple ledger, I feel like there's going to be a ledger for Ripple, or there already is, but like, something like we have right now for other cryptocurrencies. If you had $5 million, wouldn't you want to protect yourself from supercomputers? Just yoinking all your crypto. So that's the important factor right now. That is what Ripple is trying to make. It's trying to make that safe space for banks.
Could undermine trust in financial institutions and digital money, increasing the risk of bank runs or massive shifts to alternative systems if consumers lose confidence. So if there's
this is going to be the main step to why it has advantage over all these other blockchains, even Bitcoin.
A bunch of hacks by quantum computers, people would not feel that their money is safe into banks anymore. Exactly. They would go and put that money into maybe gold or silver or maybe even cryptocurrency. What cryptocurrencies are already quantum resistant and what cryptocurrencies still need to be upgraded? So Bitcoin is not quantum resistant right now. It uses ECD.
I feel like Bitcoin is like a store of value. It's going to be on these exchanges anyway for most of these institutions. But yeah, most of the point of the Bitcoin is store of value.
SA vulnerable, no upgrades yet. Ethereum uses the same thing, no quantum upgrades yet. Solana uses ED25519, not quantum safe. Ripple is the XRP ledger is in progress of building and developing this. Not quantum resistant yet, but preparations and roadmap and research are in progress to do this. And of course, Dogecoin, Cardano, Avalanche, Shiba Inu, Tron, and Toncoin are not. Some ones that are currently quantum resistant we could talk about are Algorand here. Algorand implements post-quantum Falcon signatures.
Algorand is a nice project, but the issue is they lack that type of partnerships. Again, there's obviously better projects, maybe in some ways, than XRP, but XRP wins because it's a whole package. So here's where XRP wins. Can you have partnerships, good product, good marketing, good strategy, a lot of money, connections? No, you cannot have. Otherwise, you would be literally the market cap of Bitcoin. That's what XRP does. It is excelling in every single way, and that's where people win. That's why people trust XRP, is because you can be good in one thing and then bad in all the other stuff, which is completely fine for, projects. But again, if you want to hit billions and billions of trading volume, you got to take that extra step.
For specific use cases. And there was also some information about HBAR here too, when I researched this up above here. Let me see if I can locate that. Here you are. HBAR employs robust SHA-384 cryptography. So that is also one that could be, financial institutions could use to keep their infrastructure safe. Now, looking at the XRP ledger, what needs to be done here to make it safe? The XRP ledger uses standard elliptic curve cryptography, and this is kind of what they use. These cryptographic methods can be broken by a sufficiently powerful quantum computer using Shor's algorithm, meaning XRP wallets whose public keys have been exposed could be vulnerable. So if you've ever sent somebody your public address, they could take that public address and rework it to get the private keys for that public address. That is the crazy stuff here. Quantum readiness strategy, XRPL is not fully protected yet against quantum.
It's not yet protected, but they have acknowledged the risk, are ongoing research projects and proposals. I feel like this is way overestimated. That's why it's on the list of XRP, but it is going to be a real thing in 20 years. I feel like in 20, 30 years, this is going to be a real problem. And again, a lot of you might be on the yacht, partying and selling your XRP. But if you're holding for 20 to 30 years, this will definitely be a problem that they will innovate. This ledger is considered to have a cryptographic upgrade path.
The Ripple development team and wider XRPL community have acknowledged the risk. There are ongoing research projects and proposals to integrate post-quantum cryptography, for example, hash-based or lattice-based cryptography. The ledger is considered to have a cryptographic upgrade path, which means it can integrate new quantum-resistant algorithms, and they become available for standardization. Industry position and future moves, Ripple's leadership, including its...
I just feel like I like that XRP is thinking, 10, 20 years ahead. Because other projects, like even Bitcoin, didn't have this in mind. You can see that because none of the other blockchains are doing that. XRPL or XRP Ledger is literally figuring this stuff out.
TO has stated the XRP
quantum ready blockchain. Again, this is going to be for the future, or maybe even for your kids, or maybe your grandchildren. Or it could happen in 10 years because the AI is getting stronger, right? 15, 20 years might be a real issue. And a lot of these blockchains might have a problem. We don't know how strong these quantum computers are being, but 3 years, I don't think so. But the more XRP grows, the more money is going to be involved, the more this will invite, bad people.
XRPL will transition to quantum safe cryptography when standards mature and the actual quantum threat becomes imminent. Analysts see the XRP ledger as
offers no strong quantum resistance. Bitcoin, Ethereum, well positioned to adapt once quantum safe cryptography ready for enterprise. That's huge news. XRPL is not yet quantum resistant.
Quantum ready blockchain because it is proactively planning for the migration, but it has not made the upgrades as of yet. So that's really interesting to see. And BlackRock also did send...
Okay, so this is an important factor. So again, I'm not condoning any of this, but this is in a positive way. This is an educational way to show you guys what could happen. I don't feel like it will happen, in the next 20, 30 years. It's not even possible now. But BlackRock issues warning quantum computing is threat to Bitcoin. Who worked on Bitcoin as the Ripple CDO explained on this years ago and explained how XRP is quantum proof. Again, so more safety means more security. This is really nice. This is the point I'm trying to get across this video. I'm not trying to get a point across of the dangers. I'm trying to get a point across of XRP being quantum proof. Another great aspect to have. Again, it might never be used. But if it is going to be used ever in history of crypto, this is great news then, right? Quantum proofing your own ledger is going to be awesome.
This warning out to their customers, basically saying, and I want to thank Digital Asset Daily for posting that BlackRock issues warning quantum computing is a threat to Bitcoin. David Schwartz, who worked on Bitcoin, the Ripple CTO, explained this years ago and explained how XRP is quantum proof. Now, I believe that they're still working to do all of this. I originally thought that, hey, I thought the XRP ledger was already quantum proof, but the research that I've done so far has not pointed me to that. Now, if there's something that I'm missing here, please let me know down in the comments and I can make a second video here coming up with that stuff, but I couldn't find any post or information when I went looking for it today. There are people that are way more advanced, and I won't even begin to say that I am a beginner in understanding quantum computing because this is on a whole different level. So if there's information...
So quantum computing is basically like AI, but 10x. We're very far from that.
You guys have, please let me know it in the comments. I'd love to, change anything that I've gotten wrong here. So thank you. If quantum computing is able to advance in a way, there is risk that quantum computing could result in the cryptography underlying the Bitcoin network becoming ineffective, which if realized could compromise the security.
I mean, imagine if everybody would be using XRP Ledger instead of Bitcoin. Like the only one surviving is XRP. So much money would be coming in.
Of the Bitcoin network, or allow a malicious actor to compromise the wallets holding Bitcoin owned by the trust or others of the Bitcoin network. Danny here said Bitcoin is cooked, XRPL is king. BlackRock just warned, right? He's just bringing up the warning too. So a lot of other people in the community noticed this as well. And then, of course, the BIS is working on something called Project Leap. It's to establish a quantum safe communication environment. Let me just show you what they're working on here in the background.
Every day, billions of financial transactions read, alter, or exist in the virtual private network.
So yeah, this is the big factor here is you gotta be basically prepared. And XRP is preparing with all these big partnerships. It really matters to mind that a lot of people don't know this, but you can take a deep dive and find something new, some aspects where XRP still wins. So we do have another. XRP is about to shake against the market. So here is what
Chad
I'm seeing right
Steingraber
now.
says there's a big announcement.
So look at this.
This started back
SEC,
in the early.
We were waiting for this for a very, very long time. We were waiting this for possibly 4 years, and this marks a major milestone. And I feel like a lot of markets will pump because of this.
2020s, but now it's coming to an end, and XRP is absolutely on fire. If you will hold even one of them,
like this is now the not just retail coming in, it's literally all of the market. It's also institutions. But lawsuits against Ripple Labs is officially over after the two parties informed the Second Circuit Court of Appeals that they were voluntarily dismissing their respective appeals. Again, a lot of money is stopped here. Will each bear their own cost, the filing said on Thursday. The joint stipulation ends the legal battle between the SEC and Ripple. And again, expected cost is Ripple's $500 million. From what I heard, allegedly, it's $500 million that this lawsuit cost. I'm not sure if just Ripple alone or both parties, but one thing is lawsuits are very expensive, and now Ripple can finally focus on the core product.
and they got into a legal battle, and then there's a third party named Judge Torres. Put all of these together, and XRP has been very volatile in your portfolio for this very reason. And I want to say, family, we got to break it all the way down. The first piece of this is they both, the SEC and Ripple, have let go of their appeals. They said that they're going to pay the fees, handle it on their end, and they're not going to battle each other even anymore. So that means XRP, when they're selling them to institutions, then they're going to be looked at like a security potentially, aka this got to go through the proper channels.
This really destroyed
they can't just
XRP.
do it the way that they did it.
This destroyed XRP and got it off the exchanges. This was like the changing moment
in the past. However, when they sell it to you, it's not a security. You're thinking to yourself, what is a security? When you go and buy a stock, you can't go buy a stock from your cousin, from your aunt. You can't go buy a stock from the store. You got to go through the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ. You got to go through specific channels.
It was 10 times
and
harder.
XRP,
guys, imagine XRP was 10 times harder to get because of this lawsuit.
When they're selling it to you, they can sell it to you on Coinbase. They can sell it to you on various apps. But when they're giving it to institutions, they have to go through the proper channels. Family, I'm telling you, this is a huge W for XRP.
Yeah,
and we're hitting new levels. And I'm going to give you some levels in this video like I always do, because we've been knocking it out the park. And I want to give a shout out to this workshop that I'm doing on Saturday. And I cannot in this breakout range. And we actually blew past it.
Yeah, Kenan Gray said it pretty well. Like right now, it is the big thing in crypto is people are waiting for a new hype, a new wave, and this is gonna push, from the barriers. We saw like 2.76 cents. I called you guys not to panic. We didn't panic, and we literally went into the hype zone back again. It's exactly as I predicted, guys. So thank you so much for smashing that like button. It really helps me out.
You have to do is hold on to it for at least 3 days. I'm talking about Friday, I'm talking about Saturday, I'm talking about Sunday, and then we could kind of clear that level and be in the upper range. What is that range? take a screenshot of this. The range is a little bit tighter from the last time we talked about it. This is about
355. Now, 355 would definitely be very nice. I feel like it could go higher, but in September. That's my personal opinion, not financial advice, but September is where I am really, really excited.
305 to about 335. We want to even break above that 335 so we can end up in the range above that, which is the 355 to 335. So as long as we hold it on to these levels, we are still in an uptrend, and we are looking for Bitcoin to even run up too. Bitcoin is going to be something that we see it breaking back into the 120s. Then this is going to be very powerful for things like XRP, especially in light of this news about what's going on with the case being dropped. We love to see that. I want to give you some of the details on it that a lot of people ain't speaking on just yet. And the first one is it was a joint agreement from the SEC and Ripple.
I feel like, yeah, the SEC also changed a bit after the election. So that is another factor why this was approved. So yeah, literally the SEC lawsuit is over because it cost taxpayers a lot of money and it cost Ripple a lot of money. And it didn't go anywhere. It was ongoing for 4 years. 4 years. Like, yeah, there were discoveries, there was this and that. And the judge literally said, yeah, you know, Ripple wins, da-da-da. And after that was over, I feel like they didn't want to like prolong this any longer.
It wasn't just they weren't on the same team with this. They both said, yo, we just going to pay the fees. The next one is that each of them, they really do have to pay the cost of all of the fees and all of the penalties. They got to pay it. And then the last one was that Judge Torres, she said this in July, that the ruling was against basically the institutions, which this is going to hinder XRP a little bit because they got to go through certain channels to get it to the institutions. If you didn't know, XRP is something that retail investors like, but it's something that institutions actually want to use so they can send money across.
The issue is literally 2 years ago or 1 year ago. So 1 year ago, you couldn't get institutions to buy the thing they wanted to use. You couldn't get it to buy it. That's why the price was so cheap. Because why would you get something that you cannot buy? And why would you partner with it if you can't even own and pay for the gas fees unless someone else buys it for you? Because of the lawsuit. So yeah, that being finished, the sky's the limit now.
Borders for extremely cheap, which is going to be a huge thing going forward in the future. So I say all of that to say, family, let's really get to this money. I love y'all, appreciate y'all, and I had to tap in to show you the real. I see y'all on that workshop on Saturday. Make sure you tap in. I do not want to see you not there, family. I love y'all. See you in the next one, and take care. XRP family, let's get it.
What if 2 hours of focused learning could today, August?
In today's world about investing, so yeah, it seems like pretty clear that XRP is becoming the next big thing. Again, pushing for $4 is more realistic now than ever before. There is another thing, urgent XRP announcement incoming. They are choosing XRP. Now they're coming back to XRP when they ignored XRP before. Look at that. So they're literally choosing and coming back to XRP now. Good news.
Coming soon from Bank of America and Ripple. We're going to get into what that could possibly be in this video. But first, we're going to talk about stablecoins and how much money big retailers can save. We're talking about billions of dollars per year here. So this is pretty serious. I'm going to give you some really cool information. We're going to look at Walmart. We're going to look at Amazon.
Yeah, again, Walmart still hasn't come in. Amazon hasn't come in. This is, imagine how many transactions they have. Probably total of trillion, at least trillion. How much money is being moved around. Imagine if Ripple got 0.001% fee of that. Wow, that would be amazing for Ripple. They would get so much money together. And again, Ripple could even expand more. And once you get a partnership with Amazon, guys, it's game over because all other companies will want to work with you.
How much money they're actually spending per year on all of these transaction fees and how much they can save by moving to RLUSD. We also have other...
Yeah, I feel like because now we're getting bank partnerships, like the next one is going to be big companies like, you know, Amazon and whatever it is, because we have the utility now. The only thing is Ripple needs to work on actually making these processes and transfers.
Ripple and XRP content in this video. Let's go ahead and start here though.
Report from Bitwise points out that one especially intriguing area to watch is stablecoins and tokenized assets, noting that assets under management soared in recent months and show no signs of slowing. Already, big names are jumping into the space like JP Morgan. Even Walmart and Amazon are reportedly exploring issuing their own stable coins. So do you think that stablecoin deployments start to take off now across some of the non-traditional, non-crypto native players?
Yeah, absolutely. So the big thing that's going to happen is growth. The US government, which is not like a bullish analyst, says that stablecoins could go from $250 billion to $3 trillion by 2030.
So yeah, they're literally like, I feel like that's their low end prediction. And the US government is not going to lie about it. They're also going to go on a smaller note. So that is the big thing that I'm seeing right now is the US government wants to double down basically on it.
4+ years away. That's a 10 or 12xing of the market. That's an enormous growth. I think they may be undercounting, but even if we get that, it's a massive investment opportunity. Do I think we'll see Amazon and Walmart directly issue stablecoins? I'm not sure, but will they get involved by allowing stablecoins to be used?
That's exactly the thing. If they work with Ripple, imagine, even if they make a payment process for XRP, how many people will be using XRP? That's a great use case for buying food or items with XRP.
For paying for things on their site, maybe offering discounts, maybe getting a share of revenue.
If you have a big trading volume, I think it's definitely going to happen for Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. Again, XRP with the lowest transfer fees. You don't want to pay $20 for sending with Bitcoin. So they're going to do that with XRP. Again, Bitcoin has improved their transfer fees, but the lowest ones will be XRP. And that's where they win.
I think that's what will happen. I think stablecoins are going to fundamentally change the way we do payments in the US, which is hard for people to imagine. But I would take
I feel like it's going to be first US, then all other countries.
Back to previous times, we were able to do things electronically that we previously couldn't. Things like email, disrupting how we move information around the world. Stablecoins are like that for money. It makes the money frictionless, global, and instant. I think it's going to be a major change.
All right, really quickly, before we get to this next segment, let's just better understand how much money are we talking about here. So,
like everybody loves money, and with XRP growing larger, I feel like it's going to be hard for Walmart and Amazon to ignore it. But yeah, just with that revenue, that means they have to do more than 1 trillion in sales. With 680 trillion revenue means they have to do way more in sales, right? To cover that cost. So we are going to be seeing probably $1 trillion partnership in that way if this gets approved, like depending on how many people use it, up to $1 trillion.
Walmart and Amazon. Walmart does $680 billion in sales. Amazon, $650 billion as of Q1 2025.
So that's not sales, that's actual revenue. So I feel like the sales are going to be much higher, like 2 billion or 2 trillion or 3 trillion.
Insane amount of money, right? And typically, look at Visa, MasterCard, and Amex. These are the top 3 used here in America. So this is what we're going to look at. Visa, basically, their fees are between 1.29% to...
So XRP would be literally 0%. Again, this could be, from what I understand, there could be trillion and trillion. Like, that's revenue, right? How much they make. But how much do they sell? Like, they profit probably from partnership, from products. So here's the real thing. They probably get a special deal with Amazon, like 0.5% or 0.3%. XRP could be offering for like 0.10%. Imagine, like this could overtake Swift. Like it could overtake all these transfers.
Insane amount of money, right? And typically, look at Visa, MasterCard, and Amex. These are the top 3 used here in America. So this is what we're going to look at. Visa, basically, their fees are between 1.29% to 2.6%. It can go higher for riskier transactions. I don't know what that means, right? Like, you either have the money or you don't have the money. What's riskier? All right. MasterCard 129 to 275, rates was similar to Visa, though assessment fees recently rose slightly. So actually MasterCard's bumped up their fees a little bit recently. And Amex, American Express, is 1.43 to 3.
I feel like they get like special fee discounts. I don't think they're paying 2% fee to Visa if you're paying through Amazon. But the thing is, they're still probably paying like 1 billion or something to these companies. They're probably not for free, right? So XRP could be making a way better offer with faster transfers and less transaction fees, because they're going to pay less transaction fees than Swift is right now, or Visa. Visa processing this probably costs money too. So XRP could be winning just starting with banks now and going for, that extra revenue later on. Wow. That's a lot to take in, I know, guys, but it's the big news that we have.
3.0, usually about 1% higher than Visa or MasterCard. They do allow negotiated fees, though. Large merchants like Amazon and Walmart often negotiate lower rates, typically 1.4 to 2%.
So yeah, I feel like XRP would be making a negotiate fee like 0.2%. Imagine if they come up with 0.2% fee instead of like 1% fee for Walmart and Amazon. That's where they would make most of their money. And they would be forced to lose their partner if they can transfer it, but they're working on actually having these type of partnerships.
Effective rate for context, smaller businesses, 2.5 to 3.5%. And so just to take a look here, if either company processes 80% of revenue through cards, conservative assumptions is this is how much money they'd be losing per year. So at 2%, it's about $10 billion, 10.9, 10.4. At 1.5%, you're talking about 8 and 7 billion. And at 1%, 5.4 or 5.20. So it's either going to be between 1 and 2% here. They could be losing between $5 and $10 billion per year on those fees. You see where Amazon and MasterCard are freaking like, this is why you saw such competition in the market for Amazon and for Visa and MasterCard to go and buy blockchain infrastructure companies or partner with Stellar and Ripple and all these other companies, because they need this technology to survive. Because think about this, stablecoins could basically make Visa and MasterCard
stablecoins are becoming the big thing if the government is saying they're becoming the big thing. If Trump is talking about stablecoins every day, what do you think is going to happen to stablecoins? Of course, they will explode.
Right? They have this older network that nobody really cares to use anymore. So what
the technology is advancing so much faster in the last 10 years, especially post 2022, is you're seeing all these transfers processing and getting more competition. And that's what's happened with banks. Banks 20 years ago were all fine, but with crypto now, with technology, that's where they have a real problem.
What is going to happen here? You're going to have Visa and MasterCard using stablecoins to settle these transactions. I'd imagine these fees will be even lower, but they're still going to have some profit there. All right. And just to give you some additional context here, potential savings with stablecoins or RLUSD stablecoins, Walmart or Amazon issued RLUSD could eliminate most interchange assessment or processing fees. On-chain transaction fees is usually under a penny.
So yeah, I feel like this will not even be a penny. It will be like less than. And that is the big thing that, XRP will have the bargaining power. Like what these companies care about is saving transaction fees, and XRP is going to offer it to them.
Effectively, zero compared to billions in legacy card fees. So you go from paying billions to maybe paying a few $1,000. Like really, that's how much you're talking in savings. It's going to be insane. And you look at like Costco or Kroger or Alibaba, all of these big retailers are looking for an edge, and stablecoins could be those edge. Let's go ahead and finish this clip off.
And what does this mean for your two market leaders in this space, Tether and USDC?
Yeah, huge market opening. I mean, again, the government says this will 12x over the next 4 years. You might wonder, how will they compete with JP Morgan, with Bank of America, with other financial giants that come into the market? The history of financial innovation says, yes, those giants get a stake, but the crypto native or the native companies that built that industry do very well. As you know, I come from an ETF background. The largest ETF company today is BlackRock, but they had to acquire that firm because it grew outside of the traditional mutual fund industry. Often these people discount these native players. I think Circle is a generational company. I think
people forget is that most of the companies that really grew is the ones that took risk. XRP took risk. It had a huge lawsuit. Amazon, PayPal almost went bankrupt, I'm pretty sure, or had a lot of financial stress. Elon Musk said that. there were a lot of these companies that took risk, and we guys don't even realize it. XRP is following the same way. It's not trying to replicate someone else's doing, and that's why people don't like it. People don't like crypto because it is changing the world, and people don't like change, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Coinbase is a generational company. I think it could one day be $1 trillion company if it continues to execute year after year. So I wouldn't discount these native players and assume JP Morgan will waltz in and own the market. That's not how innovation works.
All right, I guess, you're getting interviewed live on TV. You probably don't want to admit that Tether, is probably not going to be allowed here in the United States because of their practices not reporting their, information. I don't know. I guess that's why I don't get.
If Tether is not going to be allowed, then we're going to be seeing, XRP overtaking that market.
Asked to do interviews on live TV because I would be, I would be giving people the context and the facts. I guess you don't have enough time for all that, right? All right. Crypto Erie says a big congrats to the team and the ecosystem. Doppler Finance introduces RLUSD Vault. Starting today, users can deposit RLUSD, a US dollar peg stablecoin introduced by Ripple, into Doppler.
So yeah, this is like having a crypto saving account. So we literally got a crypto savings account, which people had for the banks. Now we're having this done in crypto. Again, very bullish.
And earn RLUSD. So people can earn RLUSD on their RLUSD. Basically, it's a savings account for your stablecoins. That's pretty cool. All right. So Chad Steingraber says the announcement will rock the cryptosphere is coming. The announcement that will rock the cryptosphere is coming. And so he believes that information about Bank of America holds an XRP integrated wallet patent. This is going to be announced, or something of the sort is going to be announced. This is back in 2021, just to give you some context here. And it says innovation example, Ripple cross-border solution, proof of concept, Ripple's distributed ledger solution, remedies legacy correspondent banking infrastructure challenges, and provides bi-directional messaging to enhance payment tracking, data transmission, and enables enhanced certainty in settlement. It talks about cross-border treasury payments, foreign exchange market maker, and cross-border treasury receipts. And it says potential benefits, simplified correspondent banking model, transparency in payments, potential U.S. liquidity provider, reduced investigation in repairs, maybe. I cut off there. And it's kind of, here's the DLT. I know it's kind of a fuzzy picture here. I did throw this into Perplexity to see if there's any other additional context. Why this is important. Bank of America is one of the largest banks in the United States, and their formal presentation of a Ripple cross-border solution highlights institutional validation and of Ripple's approach to payment.
I feel like this is a bit old, but a lot of banks, this was before the partnerships came in. So Crypto Sensei didn't mention that, which I wanted to mention that this paper came before we got the big Ripple partnerships. Again, the Ripple partnerships were this year to date because, for this exact reason, because of the lawsuit being over. And before everybody was saying, hey, if you join us, this is what we can provide for you. Ripple was literally saying, but no banks wanted to work with someone with a huge lawsuit on their back. Now with this over, this document makes a lot more sense, right? Because before it was just like a proof of concept. And now it's becoming a reality.
Showing they have seriously evaluated, tested, or piloted Ripple's technology. So you do have one of the biggest banks in the world using Ripple's technology actively. And I
feel like this Bank of America partnership is literally what started Ripple's rise to $3 because they could get a lot of other partnerships.
Bank of America will make some pretty big announcements here soon, hopefully mentioning Ripple or XRP by name. That could really send us.
I feel like that will happen after September, probably next year. Probably with Ripple IPO, they're still doing regulation stuff behind. So I don't think it will be approved yet. I don't think it will be mentioned yet until we get September stuff coming on.
To a different level of price for XRP. Addressing legacy banking infrastructure, the slide notes that Ripple's remedies legacy correspondent banking infrastructure challenges, which would include slow settlement, high costs, data transmission issues, and lack of transparency. It does talk about the transition from linear to simultaneous settlement. The diagram compares today's cumbersome multi-step cross-border payment process with a potential future model using Ripple's DLT for simulations simultaneously. I did not sleep last night. I do apologize. Luna was sick and we were up all night. So bear with me. Near real-time settlements, this shift can reduce costly reconciliation errors and delays And then I said, why is this important? B of A investigated or piloted Ripple. Focus on transparency, simplification, and
So this one, Bank of America was specifically interested in the two-way messaging and certainty of settlement made possible by RippleNet or similar solutions. So yeah, it's very hard to understand. But what I'm trying to tell you guys here is literally the bank said, so I'm trying to summarize what the document said from the AI, is the bank said to Ripple that it's like a nice product. And after that, you know, after Ripple showed them what a nice product it was, they got that partnership. So that's the important factor we can get from this video. I feel like that's what I wanted to take on this, because a lot of people don't realize that the banks are literally saying that Ripple is good. We heard that already, that the banks are talking how Ripple is awesome, right?
Transparency, that's a little, what? I mean, okay. Ripple's strategic institutional momentum, market participation, market perception, and industry signaling, and institutional liquidity role. You also have some information here. Nearly 1 billion USD in XRP is now being held as treasury by public companies, including Ripple. So here's kind of where the money is. See, these investments are companies that have announced that they're going to be investing, but I haven't seen the investing happen yet, or I haven't seen any updates on this. So saying nearly 1 billion USD in XRP is now being held as treasury and public companies, that's misleading. That's actually not right. That's not right. They announced it. They have not bought yet. Some of them.
So yeah, this is the most important factor, is this is the good news. That they have not bought it yet literally means that the price can go up. 1 billion in USD is now being held as treasury by public companies, excluding Ripple. So yeah, they announced that they will buy, but the good news is they can buy more. And once they buy in 2025, 2026, this can pump the price further. So this is good news that they haven't bought yet, because we already got to $3.5, almost $4 without even institutions buying. That's what I've been telling you guys. Pretty good news if you ask me.
I think like Vivo Power has done something, but I've never seen any money from Trident Digital or any updates after they made the announcement. So just food for thought.
But yeah, $500 million, if they got to buy even a small amount, that would be tons of money, right? But I don't think they have 500 million available. So yeah, could be just like article to get more hype as well.
Has seen Ripple's national bank,
who is the retired vice chairman of, this is literally the bank they partnered up with Ripple.
Bank info, but I looked through their OCC application today and found who the organizers of the trust bank are. One name struck me out was Tim Keeney, who is retired vice chair of BNY Mellon, who was responsible for custody of 25% of global
I feel like those who have global institutional assets and understand that tokenization is the future, that's why they're partnering up, right?
Institutional assets while he sat there, or while he was there. It makes a lot of sense seeing Ripple partner with BNY Mellon to custody. Just thought I'd pass it on. A list of proposed organizations below does talk about Jack McDonald, will be RNTB's Ripple's National Trust Bank president with over 25 years experience in banking, financial services, and trust activities. Mr. McDonald brings significant knowledge and leadership skills to the bank, or Ripple's bank. Mr. McDonald currently serves as president of SCTC and senior vice president of stablecoins at Ripple.
Yeah, so another thing I'd like to point out is a lot of these people who are serving here and there and partnered with Ripple, the banking industry is probably much smaller than we think. That's why here, a lot of these banks, he worked at BlackRock, he worked here. I feel like that's very normal when you work at a bank. Like, for sure, BlackRock is like one of the biggest companies. For sure, someone worked at BlackRock. And then people have been saying ex-Ripple employee is going to be working at BlackRock, or ex-BlackRock employee is going to be joining Ripple. I feel like they're going to join anyway because they are fans of Ripple. They are literally working and using the XRP ledger.
Viagli, I can't say his name. I'm too tired. John will be Ripple's National Bank Trust Chief Operating and Trust Officer, and currently Ripple's Treasurer, Mr. Zavelgia, brings over 20 years of financial planning and consulting experience, yada, yada, yada. There's also Stuart Alvaradi. I'm not going to read all Stuart's information. If you want to pause it and read that there, please do. Just get back to Timothy Francis Keeney. We kind of talked about kind of his information role. I'll include this link below, guys. If you want to read through all of this, please do. I'm just at my...
But I think the most important factor we can take away from here is that The guy they partnered with held 25% of global institutional assets. I feel like he realizes, when he partnered with XRP, that XRP is going to be important. I think that's the most important factor you can get from this. Everything else is like a very, very deep dive and what they did and why this bank is good. So yeah, the big thing here is that Ripple right now is having tons of partnerships with key players and having a lot of connections. And connections are really important if you want a bank partnership. If you want to get Ripple to $20, networking is a super big thing in crypto, right?
Owns 15 million in XRP.
You still need like 20,000 to 60,000 XRP and get more rich, unless the price goes up of XRP. That would be nice.
Here is what they own here. They got Bitcoin. They have USDC.
So yeah, is this the bank owning XRP? So Galaxy owns 15 million XRP. Now, I'm not too sure if Galaxy Digital owns that or are their users owning that. Counterparties as collateral for which Galaxy has control. So that's a very important factor. Any digital assets which Galaxy has pledged collateral and retains control. So yeah, Crypto Sensei or, Good Morning Crypto, they didn't mention that this is people who have deposited to the Galaxy. They have 15 million and they just hold for them. So it's kind of like saying that Coinbase owns 1 billion of Bitcoin when they're holding for other people the Bitcoin, right?
Here you go. Galaxy owns 15 million in XRP. Here is what they own here. They got Bitcoin. They have USDC. So, wow, they have 17,000 Bitcoin. The historical cost only $1.8 million. That was a pretty good buy there, right? And then here's XRP, 15 million. Historical cost 33 grand. Must be nice, man, to spend 30 grand on XRP and now it's worth 15 million. Wow. All right, guys.
So I'm not too sure if that is really that or the people who deposited XRP early have control of that. So there's some XRP whales that bought it at $30,000 and it's now worth 15 million. I think that's a more possible scenario, like a bunch of people depositing their XRP and now they got rich off of it for a very cheap price. So I am really thinking here, XRP, let's go. What starts
The Fed
next?
just low-key.
So let's go. XRP lawsuit is over. And again, what's going to be next for XRP might be pretty shocking.
XRP Army, we are back. Welcome to the channel. We are completely clear, completely done with Ripple versus SEC. The fact that I never have to say XRP versus the SEC or Ripple versus the SEC again. This is a glorious, glorious day, guys. Go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe down below if you have not already. What I'm going to tell you about in this video is not just that. Of course, the news is out. The appeal.
I feel like a lot of people will be moving on from this news. There's so much news coming in that in like 2-3 weeks, there's going to be another news. And remember, guys, 8 months ago, we were talking about XRP spiking up, the lawsuit being over, the inauguration, but crypto is moving so fast that this is the start of crypto actual explosion.
Is basically done with. All is sorted. The fine is paid, whatever. Here we go. What I want to get into is what this means now for XRP. What does this mean moving forward?
So basically XRP has moved to open markets and is near all-time high. Again, people are saying the all-time high is like 3.36. I feel like, and I've been telling this very well on my channel, $3.36 is not the all-time high for XRP because you have to consider inflation. So all-time high, if we counter in 2017, XRP all-time high, which is almost 10 years ago or 9 years ago, is now $4.3. So $4.3 is where it really matters.
How is this going to benefit what's next for crypto, for Ripple, for XRP, and what are we looking to see and all of this, guys? So, and please weigh in if you have opinions or thoughts on this. I definitely want to hear from you guys down below in the description. Or in the comments, in the description. What the hell am I talking about? I just went golfing, had a few cold ones. All right, just going to be forward facing here. But make sure you guys show some love to the video. I want this thing to get out there. But I want to just speak off the cuff about this. I'm super excited, obviously, being a huge XRP holder outside of Bitcoin This is my largest holding, guys. XRP, finally, it's sending right now. We're up to 328 at the last time I just checked before I made this video. And the pricing and all of that stuff, it will come, right? But
I feel like also a lot of the news that comes in, it's starting to affect only a few weeks later. We kind of saw that with Bitcoin halving, so it could be the same with XRP. Is people are going to be asking, why are the prices down? XRP had so much good news. The same could happen. Like, we could be seeing XRP prices go up as soon as we have that, a few momentums in September. So that's why I'm calling this date. September is going to be the key date, right?
Truly, what this means to me is much, much bigger, okay? It allows for price increases because of what's coming next. The fact that this happened now is so crucial. And I guarantee Brad Garlinghouse and all the executives at Ripple wanted to get this done now, because what is ahead of us here is super exciting. What's ahead of us now with the Clarity Act, future ETFs, future rate cuts, and let's hope a blow-off top altcoin season. And the fact that XRP can fully join the party. Yes, XRP we knew was not a security on the retail side of things. We knew it before we knew it officially in July of 2023, right? Now, that news from Judge Torres was huge, but we still had this dark cloud over our heads for the last 2 years with the institutional side.
I feel like it was a lot of stress for XRP as well. If you have, a lawsuit over you, you cannot focus on other stuff, especially like just the thing that, the US government is suing you. It's finally over. What's up? Hope you have a great, fantastic day. I definitely am very happy. Like, I feel like that there will be more gains, but they will not be instant. They will be, periodic. So it's going to be like on this date, this date, this date. Then we have a bounce back. And I'm going to be tracking and discovering my journey on every key level. Every time it happens, XRP will slowly push towards $3, $4, $5, $6. And I could be totally wrong, but this is what happened in crypto is you do not get overnight pumps. You get a bunch of good news, which makes companies force it to buy, especially if they want to have XRP Ledger. Once it's live, they will have to buy XRP.
I mean, the overall lawsuits lasted 5+ years. Finally now, though, it unlocks all of these doors that have been locked and, basically screwed tight in terms of the institutions that could potentially adopt XRP in the United States. This is why XRP and Ripple had to do business outside the US. And they did that. And honestly, looking back, it's honestly benefited them in a lot of ways. They've got a stronghold now in the Middle East. They've got a stronghold in the Asian market as well. And now they're about to have, in my opinion, a stronghold in the United States.
I feel like it's also good they had outside collaboration because we were waiting this for a long time, right? And just going outside markets also made them expand even more. They're already in 6 countries.
Finally, the big banks can utilize this technology fully. There's been inklings and all kind of rumors swirling. But now that the, monkey is off our back completely, from the institutional side, the retail side, it is perfect timing. It is perfect because we are heading into an era of crypto that we've never seen before, where the banks are fully adopting crypto. Yes, we're talking about JP Morgan Chase partnering with Coinbase, Citibank, PNC. Those are the ones.
This is what people have been waiting for 6 years, and it's finally happening now. This is like the peak of crypto we're going to see.
We've heard of already.
So yeah, it is kind of like a blessing in disguise, stacking your XRP, because with the lawsuit being over, you might not be seeing XRP under $1 ever again. And again, this is not financial price, advice, but $1 is going to be harder nowadays.
Many more are going to hit. And the Genius Act gets through with stable coins. Obviously, RLUSD is going to be a big part of the tokenization industry. Ripple already doing business with Dubai for tokenization. But coming back to the United States and what this means here at home for cross-border payments and tokenization, the fact that they partnered with Ondo before all this was done is crazy, by the way. It's almost as if they knew this was happening when it was going to happen. This is going to open the floodgates now for mass adoption. Point blank, period. And that is all we've been wanting for half a decade. And some people further on before that. I got into XRP in 2020, 2021. That's when I first got in.
Yeah, same here. I really like that also we are seeing now that XRP has still been building even during the bear markets, even during the dark ages. XRP still went on to build. Like a lot of these projects were abandoned. And that's what made XRP build its trust as well. Trust is very important in crypto. And the bank saw that. The bank saw they still have money after the SEC lawsuit. And people call the SEC lawsuit basically a test for XRP to survive. Now, I feel like that's a crazy take, because there's other ways to test the crypto, but they said that it's basically testing and showing all the documents and that everything is in good standing. So that's one thing that made really XRP exciting.
I know people who got in 2017, 2018, and everybody's got to be jumping with joy right now because it has been such a long time coming. And, in terms of a price point, it's so hard to predict. A lot of people throw these numbers and fair value, and I think it's going to 1,000. Listen, I don't know where the hell this thing's going, to be honest with you. Nobody.
One thing is for sure, nobody knows where the price is going, but just seeing the price, right now, nobody knows. The good thing about it is this news unlocked a new price level.
Does, by the way. That's why you subscribe to the channel, because I don't just feed you a bunch of bullshit. Okay, I'm not just going to tell you, we're going to $1,000 a coin at the end of and here's how I know the fair value. I don't know. All I know is it has one of the highest upside potentials now of any asset out there on the market, hands down, bar none, because of the relationships and partnerships they have. They just acquired a company today as well. This is the beginning.
If this is one thing that will change crypto, this is it. These partnerships, these type of partnerships is what really makes crypto go live.
The true
Ripple took everything on the chin and won and fought the battle. Exactly. Like it was a very, very long, expensive battle for everyone.
Beginning of Ripple XRP, guys. Literally, what we see today is the true beginning of where we're going and what is about to happen. So I am super excited. I think the timing is perfect. We're in store for, I think, a Q4 rally, and XRP is going to be allowed to be a part of it fully. We're going to see ETFs hit the market. Yes, I do think they're going to come late 2025, maybe early 2026.
Yeah, I feel like some of the XRP ETFs coming to 2025 and the other ones 2026, that would be exciting. Like XRP ETFs is the next big price point I see, but just September is going to be huge. I feel like the September part is going to be icing on the cake. It's going to be double more important than what it is right now.
It just depends on the Clarity Act, because once we get the Clarity Act pushed through, here come ETFs.
Is it going to pass the Senate, though? That's the big question.
Baby. But I am super fired up, guys. And to me...
So XRP new partnership confirmed. This is the big thing.
When people see...
A lot of people slip on the SEC lawsuit. What about the XRP partnership that we have in right now? I love watching Matthew Perry. He's one of my favorite YouTubers. And right now, a lot of people are not talking about the XRP partnership. So what it is, like XRP is literally working on the partnerships right now as we speak. And there's probably more that have not been announced and are waiting at the right time.
I see different institutions or banks or just anything in general partner with cryptocurrency. And I'm going to say cryptocurrency broadly. I'm excited because it means that much more utility, that much more adoption, right? When you see countries that are adopting or finding ways to get...
Like there should be plenty of countries joining in XRP. Like there's... US is right now on the spot because it couldn't join in before. But we have so many countries that don't even know what XRP is yet. So that's basically under-tapped potential.
Their citizens, to get their people involved in cryptocurrency. It's a big deal, right? In my opinion, it's a huge deal because it levels up crypto to that much more accepted, right? Widely accepted, currency, widely accepted thing. And that's what we're here today to talk about.
So yeah, out of all cryptos right now, I feel like Bitcoin had its run. So XRP is the one that really has the potential here, like to do those 10x. So this is the big thing that nobody talked about. BDACS, South Korea's regulated crypto custodian, officially launched custody for XRP on August 5th. Like, wow, we were talking about this a few days ago. But I want to just reiterate how important this is.
On X. Now, again, they're not only one of the most popular digital assets, they are...
So yeah, Korean markets are basically the big thing right now. But integrating and coming in hot. Ripple's managing director for Asia Pacific region said the collaboration came during a period of rising market activity in South Korea. She also pointing to evolving regulatory conditions. What does that mean? It basically means more people can now use XRP.
Evolving regulatory conditions in the country as a factor of the partnership. BDACS CEO Harry stated that the firm aimed to provide secure and compliant custody services. The goal was to support Ripple's blockchain initiatives with South Korea's regulatory framework. So just to get, I guess, a little bit more, South Korea market information, and also to understand the hype and attention and push that this gets for XRP. Recent data, the Institution of Finance revealed that one in 4 South Koreans in their 20s to 50s own digital assets.
So that means they own cryptos, right? 1 in 4 people. Again, I feel like the half of them own XRP. Cryptocurrency makes up 14% of their financial portfolios. This is actually good news because this means that a lot more of Koreans could be joining in. So yeah, this is just a very small part of people buying XRP.
Currency makes up 14% of their financial portfolios on average. The study showed the highest participation rate among people in their 40s at 31%.
So yeah, 31%. What happens when XRP launches? Like with the crypto regulation bill, I feel like a lot more people will not be afraid to buy big amounts.
Followed by those in their 30s and 50s age range or age groups. The research also indicated increased confidence in cryptocurrency as a wealth building tool for retirement planning.
That's like the thing right now because crypto gives the most returns, right? So people buy it for them returns.
This trend is particularly strong among older investors in the survey. And maybe because they're trying to get a leg up as they are older rather than having that long-term growth. You know what I mean? A technical background, XRP serves as the native token for XRP Ledger, layer 1 blockchain.
So yeah, a lot of older generation will be probably buying XRP for that reason, is because it gave insane returns. So it kind of makes sense. Who is buying XRP is a lot of like 50s, 40s. Again, this could open a big market, especially because Korea, let's look at Korea age population. So age distribution of Korea is, okay, so most people are in so 18% of people are 65 and above. So there's a very high chance, again, 18%, which is a very high amount, are 65. So a lot of people in 60s, 55 will be buying assets that are not just, slow returns. They will want to buy at fast returns. That's why Trump literally announced that crypto and like XRP will be used in retirement plans because it gives such fast returns. It makes you more risk averse to get it, right? So it really makes total sense.
Higher country, right? This is partnering with institutions to where you can see newer and better and bigger institutions that are being that are working with XRP in a large way.
So yeah, more and more institutions, now smaller institutions are working with XRP. Soon we will see the bigger ones.
That much better, right? Means that much more. So this is huge. I'll take this, right? Any partnership I will take, to where you feel like you're getting a lot out of the deal. And even the little wins, even the ones where it seems like it's just one, bank that they're partnering with, that one bank, that one small bank can lead to bigger bank partnerships.
I think, yeah, Matthew Perry is really right on this. Like, even the small partnerships, that's why YouTubers are talking about it, is because this literally leads from the big partnerships start to notice you. Again, how do you get the big win? How do you get to $10? You got to have the small wins first. And that's how they expand, coming into more countries when suddenly a big partner comes in and wants to partner up with you.
Right now, let's go ahead and take a look at where this dollar market cap with 4.22.
So yeah, it seems like that XRP right now is taking those small wins, like winning the lawsuit and going in. But here is the real thing, is XRP is just one hit away. Like success. It's just one hit away before it actually wins on a big wagon. So I jumped the XRP bandwagon, and I don't regret it.
I've given my fair.
This one, I really like this one. XRP, I jumped on the XRP bandwagon. I don't regret it. And I don't regret joining XRP because I don't feel bad for making the content. I truly believe in it.
Maybe you can change someone's mind to be like, well, XRP might be it. Right? So
I feel like a lot of people are still negative about XRP. Such a big amount.
You can go into demo trading and you can start demo amount well over 2,000. And anytime I mention that, people were like, look, you need to stay clear of XRP and don't even be involved with it.
So yeah, I feel like a lot of the perception of XRP from the lawsuit is changing now with the lawsuit being over. When I checked Reddit, a lot of people did not like XRP. Is because the lawsuit was the main reason why people didn't want to buy it, right?
In it. Don't even research what's going on in it. And I was like, all right, but it does look like a good day tradable position, right? It moves a lot because of the news, right? The fight with the SEC, the lawsuit.
Like all news is good news. Even if it's a bit bad, people will still watch it.
Being involved in litigation, all of these things were just reasons as to why I can day trade the position. So I made money day trading from 60.
So that's what make people come back, to XRP, even because we got any type of news is what really made people visit XRP again. And that's why like Bitcoin possibly in the next few years will gain slow returns. Because right now, why do people watch XRP so much is because every single day something is happening. Why do people watch the news? Every single day something is happening. And when you watch it every single day, you decide, maybe I'll own a small share of it. Everybody's talking about it. So why not be invested just a bit?
Deciding to just continue to fight them. It was more about Ripple not giving in to what every other company did, right? Whether it's Kraken, whether it's Coinbase, and Coinbase obviously jumped on to fight. But whether it was Binance or it doesn't matter what the position was or exchange was, they decided to give in and go, we'll accept the fine. We don't want to fight you guys. Ripple was like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to fight this and we're going to take as much time, as much money as that's needed in order to fight it. Because we know that you are in the wrong and you're looking to enforce, by punishment rather than just trying to learn what crypto is and try and make a new normal. And that's where I was like, this is it, right? I'm going to jump on the bandwagon. I'm going to be a part of it.
I feel like Ripple winning that lawsuit is what makes it now a legacy coin. Basically, everyone talking about it because they're the only ones that had fought through SEC and won. Everyone else paid the fine, obviously, because from a financial perspective, it makes way more sense to pay the fine. The lawsuit is going to be way more expensive. But now with the lawsuit being over, we really know what a security actually is, right?
And I'm going to consistently invest into it. Honestly, I thought I only need 2,000, 3,000 in order to get very far in what I'm holding. However, to make more of an impact in what Ripple's message is and what XRP's message was, I had to make sure that I was in, right? That I was all in on it. So 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. I just kept buying XRP and kept putting money in XRP and believing in XRP at 50 cents. And I made it to what some people would believe is the promised land, but honestly, we're just getting started. So seeing it get to a level of $1, seeing it get to a level of $2, $3, almost $4, some people might say it's over. It's not.
I definitely think so. I've been holding since like $2-3. And the important factor here is XRP at 50 cents. What I noticed is way more hated. That's why it was so sold. People kept selling it at 30 cents, believing it will never go to $3. But now the sentiment is completely different. I hear people talking that XRP is going to go to $5. So see how it changed in just a small amount of time. We literally went from going to 30 cents to 50 cents. This coin is never going to grow. The lawsuit being over. With the lawsuit being over, we are hoping for, $30.
It's not over at all. This is just the beginning. And for anybody that's like, should I jump on the bandwagon? It doesn't sound like a bad idea, right? Now, you want to make sure that you fit what you can afford and you also believe in it as well. Don't just jump.
Like, that's why I joined in, is because I went from hating it and thinking, okay, this is literally has a lawsuit, to being ignorant about it, to finally understanding the point of XRP is the technology.
Money as the market increases.
And that's why I love it. The point of technology is the real thing.
I wanted to clear the air. Some people are saying, hey, he didn't believe in XRP from the beginning. And you're right, I didn't. But people can change. And you can too. Right? If you are a person that has always believed was against XRP, and now all of a sudden you're seeing something that's making you believe a little bit, you don't have to just continue to fight it because that was what you said in the past. I'll say, yeah, you were wrong in that case. Accept you were wrong. Get involved in being a part of XRP in a bigger way.
I feel like that's the main thing. Like, a lot of people who are hating XRP got really burned by it, because they got sidelined. If they literally just held a small amount, there's people who are saying it's going to go to 0 since 1 cent, guys. Let that sink in. If they bought at 1 cent at $1,000, they would have like $300,000 now.
So everyone says.
So most people will miss XRP's next run. That's the thing. If you're holding XRP, you understand more than most people understand technology. And this is a new video that I got from Tommy basically, and he said most people will miss the XRP run. So I wanted to react to it.
They're ready, but when XRP really moves, most won't even catch it. So today, if you're new to my channel, I talk about 3 points. Right now, it's specifically around XRP, but my channel is more so for overall wealth. I talk a lot about cryptocurrency and then different strategies to build wealth long-term. Like this, I'll discuss trading short-term, and then depending on what your definition of short-term is, it's going to change. I do a little bit of day trading. I also do a lot of different strategies
Yeah, so I feel like most retail investors will miss out on XRP is because they still don't understand technology. And by the time they understand technology, it might be already too late. They might take up plenty of time when it's already too late to get into crypto, if you understand me. Because the government is already going to be buying massive supplies of it.
Accumulate wealth like the wheel strategy within stock, and then also different staking opportunities within cryptocurrency.
Yeah,
but
so that's
back to the 3 points. A lot of people will miss this opportunity because they're looking at it from a hype perspective. Point number 1 that I want to talk about is folks wait for hype and then they panic. If you're watching this video, I don't want you to fall into the same exact panicking mode. A lot of the speculation, like cryptocurrency speculation right now in general. And then there's a lot of infrastructure though being built specifically around XRP. The reason why I talk a lot about XRP is because I believe in it holistically. It's shifting the market in a different path and it's replacing an old dated system. So that's what's happening today.
I feel like that's why it gives bigger returns, right? Is because people who believe in it and buy like the amount maybe about it like 4 years ago with the lawsuit, right? When the lawsuit hit, right? That's when you were most rewarded, when the risk is the highest. And the people who believe in the risk the most, they are the ones being rewarded.
If you zoom out, right? If you're zoomed in right now, you look at a lot of the movement, you're going to fall into the FOMO, and then you're going to listen to the FUD. When fear happens, then you're going to fall into that same exact rabbit hole. Usually within cryptocurrency, there's cycles. This is the 4th cycle going on. And every single cycle,
there's going to be many more.
And then it tanks. And every single time, myself included, I'm always feeling like it's going to continue going up. But I know that things have to correct. And then usually things are always different each.
So yeah, he's saying that people will miss out because the cycles, they drop down. We never had a cycle where the government is bullish on crypto. We never had a cycle where there's literally going to be so many government approvals. So I think the cycle with XRP is different. People were saying XRP is going to crash down and it's not going to hold for long. But it's never in history has the cycle like this been the same, right? So that's where you're really going to realize where crypto really wins.
Of the cycles, my guess is just what has proven to work for me. And this isn't financial advice for you, but try, and this is just some random guy, some Asian dude who wants to chat with you and then just throw out his thoughts, right? Because I don't want you to fall into the same exact cycle as I did. And years ago, this is my 4th cycle. And so what works for me is just diamond hands. And then if you're willing to let go of the asset, then make sure that you actually have a investing mindset. So
yeah, I feel like a lot of people try to sell it and say it will never go up. They miss out on so many gains. I feel like everyone at some point like sold something and it instantly went up, right? The issue is holding forever. But the thing with XRP, I don't think it's ever going to be like one of those cryptos that fall down 90% anymore. Maybe 60, 70% sure, but that's going to be like if the whole market crashes.
That's what we're going to talk about today. Just not panic around that. So what's really happening right now is most retail investors will wait until XRP is trending on social media, right? And then it's already too late by that point. So understanding the asset and then getting into it now, it's always the best time because you're looking at it from a long-term perspective. You're not just jumping into it because of the hype, because that means that you'll panic and then get out of it. So if you're new to this and you're trying to understand it, then great. But try and understand it from not just the technical perspective, but a macro perspective, a bigger picture to everything. And if it's something that you want to invest into, then do it. But just make sure that, again, I don't want YouTube to crack down on my videos, but just make sure that you do consult with your financial advisor and then make sure that this is something that you're willing to, if it went to zero, that you're okay losing it because it's very speculative. And then a lot of folks buy at the top. I've fallen into this for other cryptocurrencies where I just bought at the peak and then just...
Yeah, people don't realize when you really buy at the peak, right? So people keep buying and people were calling XRP at $1 peak. Again, not financial advice, but the most important factor is most people don't realize when they have to sell and when they have to buy. So right now, XRP is right in the middle. People are still buying it. Institutions are still buying it, which is good for them. I feel like there's going to be another rise, in my personal opinion. I don't feel like it's going to be $10, but I feel like that the institutions wouldn't be putting millions of dollars if they didn't even at least feel it will go back to $4. That's what I've been trying to make the patterns. And if you know when the top bottom is going to be and you know when the top is going to be, you could probably be a millionaire.
Stuck with it, right? You're just bag holding at that point. And then a lot of these...
Why would that happen with XRP? Literally with more partnerships. Again, anything can happen, but in crypto, it's going to be hard to see that.
Cryptocurrencies too can dip, talking 50%, 100%. But if you look at it from a bigger picture and if you actually bought it infancy stages, then you're okay, you're up 400%. Like XRP, if you guys would have picked it up a couple months ago, you would have been up at least 400%. So when it takes a little dip right now, it's nothing. You got diamond hands because that's not the comparison to what it was. But if you bought, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and you're hoping that's going to skyrocket, you're probably hurting right now. But at the end of the day, just zoom out a little bit and try and understand the bigger picture.
I feel like a lot of people on XRP right now either realize that they're not going to get like a 400x, or they realize that they put a lot of money in like big institutions, right? So there are two types of players, like the big institutions, or they just, kind of like go with it and whatever returns they get. If they put $1 million, that's $200,000 extra. That's one type of players. But then we have people who realize, yeah, I bought it now at $3.5 and I'm totally fine if it goes to $4 because it's going to give better returns than my stock portfolio. But again, who knows what can happen?
and then make sure that you have a plan in place. If that's to hold long term, then that's your plan. It doesn't matter. All of this noise doesn't matter. But if you're trying to hold it for short term, understand where your exit is going to be at. Set a stop loss so that way you don't lose those gains, and then buy back in and then just redo it again. That's the simple thing that I can say. The advice that I can give when trading, that's trading, right? That's not investing. So back in 2017, it played out the same exact way. There was a huge parabolic run that caught most people off guard. That's the 2017 run that I reviewed in my other video on some of the technical analysis that I did. It was just a quick one, but you can see it jump.
You can't really like predict 2017 because 2017 was literally 3 times smaller market, completely different government, completely different price portfolios. So let that sink in. When you're like comparing 2017 and 2025, when people compare price charts, I don't feel like you can compare them. I feel like they're completely different, in my opinion.
That parabolic run. You zoom out a little bit too, and then you can see from 2017 to 2021, it's crazy, 35,000%. I'm still baffled. It's crazy.
It's just
At
crypto.
the end of the day for this though, I want you to recognize the historical patterns and just resist the FOMO cycles. Just learn about it. I'm going to talk a lot about XRP and other cryptocurrencies as well too. And then we'll get into different strategies because I don't want to just talk about XRP, right? I want to talk about overall wealth and then being able to use, once you actually gain all of those gains from your investments, what do you do with that? I want to talk a little bit about some options that you can do with that, just from a normal guy's perspective that's working like a 9 to 5. What else can you do to protect yourself and then also at the same time enjoy investing, learning about the stock market? I feel like when you retire, even at a young age, what does retirement look like for you? Start thinking about that. Every single day, think about what you're going to be doing and what your passion is and what else can you do with that.
That's a pretty good point. Like a lot of XRP millionaires, they want to be millionaires, but they don't know why. Everyone wants to be a millionaire nowadays, but really there's a lot of millionaires who still work to this day. It's just having that security, that financial investment if the markets go down, to not be really worried of what happens.
Since you're watching this channel, I'm assuming that you want to retire early, or you just want to learn about more wealth generating assets, how to build that longevity. Because for what I'm trying to do is all of this video, I don't want it just for myself. This is completely for you guys and then also for my future kids, their grandkids. I just want to document everything that I'm doing on the pub website. I just want to put it out there. So it's amazing. Like, I'm pretty excited because as long as I have one viewer, I'm going to continue doing this. I think that's the value. If I bring that value to this world, then I'm going to continue doing it. All right, so talking point number 2, they don't understand real signals. So there's a lot of real fundamental shifts that are happening right now for XRP and cryptocurrency as a whole. Right?
I feel like the real signal is like all the partnerships XRP had. That's like the big news that we're seeing right now, the partnerships. Wow, amazing, right? And it's what's really pushing XRP to new all-time highs is every time the banks, like if your neighbor told you to invest in Bitcoin, you wouldn't believe him as much. But if literally a bank with trillions of assets would start working with XRP, now that is a bit more convincing, isn't it?
The ISO 20022, that's already live. So that implementation's live for the backing of how money's moving the system. We'll start seeing how it actually starts getting used on the XRP ledger, but it's just cool in general from a technology perspective. The money's gonna move a lot faster. We're not gonna see any more fees. Hopefully that's the case. Hopefully they don't charge $35 to just send and wire money, and then hopefully it doesn't take that long. When you're trying to close on a house, it takes a full day or 2 days. What if it was just instant?
So yeah, he forgot about the transfer fees. The transfer fees make it way, way cheaper to actually make all these type of payments. And that's what people want to see, what banks want to see. They don't mind if you have to wait like half a day, but the transfer fees being like 20th of a penny, if millions of these transactions are happening, that's going to only make it a few $1,000s, right? So a few $1,000s is going to be way, way better for them to actually make that money.
Owning a company like Google for $1. That's how I see it. And then the backing of it, it's just the opportunities are so much there. Everything's going to burn. You're going to see a lot of upcoming stuff. So that's the long-term stuff that I want to focus on. A lot of the laws are being passed, the Genius Act, the Clarity Act, legal clarity, it's all there. And so the Fed system's changing. A lot of things are already lining up. And so we're tracking adoption that way, legislation instead of influencers, right? That's not my goal here, is to influence and say, oh, XRP is popping or it's the next big thing, right? This is something that I've been invested in and I believed in. And so I'm just spitting it out and then making sure that I track every single day and every single week and hold myself accountable to make sure that all of this is lining up. If it doesn't, then what's my backup plan?
That's a pretty, good thing to have. So have a game plan, as most people will miss XRP's next run. I feel like this is very simplified, like having an exit strategy. But the real thing is you don't know when it's going to happen, right? When crypto goes up, you don't know when it's going to stop. That's the XRP's explosive momentum. Everybody was saying it's stopping at $1. It did not stop there. So it literally did not want to stop. And I feel like it's not going to stop for some time because it is going past from history. Bitcoin might drop in price, but people have been saying it will not go past 100,000. So it's literally going all these expectations backwards and taking a step further. So just let that sink in before you think, we could be seeing it 2000, the 4-year cycles. We can see indicators, but every single year I see the market cycles go a bit different.
Cryptocurrency, let me take that back. 2013 was when I first started getting into the stock market. And I got it because I was working at my first corporate job. And so I learned a lot about employee purchase share plans. And so I was like, oh, what is that? One of my older mentors at that time, he was just a coworker, but he became a mentor to me. He was like, if you get into this, it's a bonus, the way that he shared with me, because I didn't even understand stocks at that time, let alone cryptocurrency. And then I would just learn about stocks, got into that. My first year, I made about $10,000 just off of employee purchase plans of the stock of the company that I was at.
So that's kind of like buying XRP early. If you buy XRP early, that's literally like buying this employee purchase plans that are cheaper. I feel like that was like before, right? When XRP was super cheap. You're just buying it off exchange. Well, you couldn't even buy it from exchange before because it was banned. Trillions coming to XRP. Let's watch this one. Trillions. I hear the number trillions, I go wild, right? So what's going on, everyone? Be sure to smash that like button if you haven't already. If trillions are coming to XRP, where does the XRP go from here? So Moneymaker Avi Lev said that we are entering this range that I have predicted in the same pattern, but I have said that the new low is going to be like $3, right? And I was right, and it's still in that pattern exactly as predicted. So it is going, like on my charts, I said that the price support level is going to be about 3.31, this chart I made. And I feel like we're still at 331. Let me check on that. So we're close to that. I'll keep you guys updated on that.
This weekend, a lot of people are talking about the 8th and 9th of the month, and that might be the... We'll see. We don't know. Again, I don't know exactly what's going to happen day to day. I'll never tell you to buy, to sell, or to hold. Of course, not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence before you decide to invest. I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, I'm not a prophet, even though I come from the land of the prophets, and I'm not a time traveler either. Right?
Yeah. So nobody knows what's going to happen with the XRP price. Not even YouTubers. That's the freedom of the open market. That's the nice thing about the open market. It can go anywhere.
So now to Ripple breaking news. Today we are acquiring Rail Financial.
So I already talked about, but this is a really important partnership. It's a small partnership, but actually if you only see 5,700 followers, this is actually $200 million deal. And they're aiming for stablecoin transfers, which they feel like that the government will go from 336 billion to 250 billion.
Money globally. What Rail brings to the table? processes 10% of the 36 billion global B2B stablecoin payments.
So again, the government has confirmed that, they predict that this will go from 30 billion to 250 billion. So I'm feeling like Ripple wants to aim for a 10x on that part.
Turns day-long wire transfers into hour-long settlements, stablecoin sandwich tech that bridges fiat and digital seamlessly, virtual accounts and automated back-office infrastructure. Why this matters for businesses: cross-border payments that settle in minutes, not days, costs reduced by 80% versus traditional banking, 24-hour settlement, no more waiting for banking hours.
So yeah, the most important factor is this is like an investment for them, a $200 million investment, because they're also going to get all their technology and they're trying to dominate towards becoming the big player against SWIFT.
Full compliance and regulatory framework, Ripple now has infrastructure to challenge SWIFT dominance in the $3 trillion CB payments, right?
So yeah, I feel like we'll be hearing more about this in the next 2 to 3 years, maybe 5 years, because right now stablecoin business to business payments are very small, but they are aiming to get this company for cheap, 200 million, which is cheap for a company, and try to build it up and take that market share, right?
Right. So this could be they're accumulating things that give them a leg up, give them the possibility, right, to be a global powerhouse, to give them the possibility that companies, that banks will look at Ripple as a SWIFT replacement, right? And you've seen all the videos that talk about, the theoretical possibility of Ripple replacing SWIFT. I don't know if that happens, but maybe it takes a chunk of the
market is so big that they will allow competitors who are doing stuff better. That's how the market works. If you do something better, then you have a very good chance of actually overtaking that market.
Rail Financial, it may be a company that you never heard of before, and they just paid $200 million for it, but it is giving them an upgrade. Sometimes a company will go and they'll say, well, I can now go and develop, a certain product or a certain infrastructure, but I can just go and buy a company that already has this. And then I already have the product and I have the developers and I have the infrastructure and I have all that. It would have cost me and it would have taken a few years. Now
I feel like also the reason they bought it is not because they already have the infrastructure. I feel like they're working towards the infrastructure, and Ripple has some of the rest of the infrastructure and they want to integrate it into Ledger. So that's the most important part, is somehow they will integrate this into the Ripple net. So this is like a part of the product, because why would Rail sell if they make a ton of money? I don't feel like Rail makes so much money to not sell it. Like, they have expenses, and selling was like a smart thing to do for them, because Ripple is gonna try to scale it. That's what they're gonna try to do in business. They're gonna try to go and double down on it, make way more wins with that. So here's where Ripple really wins. It's a really big form of victory, but the price didn't reflect, and I feel like that's because it's still very early to tell if this was a good buy or not.
Going to be for at least the next 2-3 years, right? So President Trump is expected to sign an executive order targeting politicized debanking practices today. So no more choke point 2.0, right? A ban on vague reputation risk standards, ordered to scrub federal guidance that enables ideology-driven accounts closers, a mandate to reverse past debanking, fines and DOJ referrals for banks that discriminate illegally.
So while crypto isn't named, this is a clear warning sign to regulators who quietly pressure banks to cut ties with lawful but disfavored industries like digital assets. If enforced, this could give crypto companies stronger legal grounds to fight back against banking exclusion. Again, Ripple tries to be its own bank. It's trying to be its own thing right now.
Why it's notable for crypto. While crypto isn't named, this is a clear warning sign to...
So yeah, banking just like crypto got easier and easier now.
Regulators who quietly pressured banks to cut ties with lawful but disfavored industries like digital assets. And I won't say this because I'll probably get demonetized. If enforced, this could give crypto companies stronger legal grounds to fight back against banking exclusions, okay? And so we talked about how the banks are going after Ripple and how they're trying to block.
So yeah, I feel like this is going to give clear regulation, and it's also going to make more US companies come into crypto, or more crypto US companies being created in the US.
Someone says here, unbelievably reckless.
Sign executive order is soon today allowing crypto investments and retirement plans. So yeah, this is the big thing that trillions will be coming into crypto, right? Trillions. Because I feel like the other part that trillions could be like potentially, but the real reason is only a portion of this money, maybe like 0.1% of retirement plans will actually buy crypto. So still like a few billion or maybe a few million, which isn't that much. Definitely works out in favor. Any crypto regulation is good.
We talked about crypto assets being eligible for 401ks. I mean, that's a monster pool of capital. And what we're just seeing is through these treasury companies, through all kinds of different avenues, the aperture of being able to buy crypto being widened and widened and widened. More avenues bringing people into the tent. I think one of the things that I actually didn't even comprehend is these treasury companies have done so well. The public equity markets are so much bigger than what the crypto markets were. And so as we're really broadening our reach through public equities into our asset class, you're just seeing tons of money pour in. Whole market. Trump last night came out and talked about crypto assets being eligible for 401ks. I mean, that's a monster pool of capital. And what we're just seeing is...
So yeah, lots of money coming in, guys. Be sure to smash that like button. Seems like this is just the start for XRP. Again, a lot of news is not being covered that I cover on this channel. So if that's something that interests you, be sure to smash that like button. I will keep you guys up to date with more content. If you want, check out my news. Check out my other videos. That really helps out. So until next time, I'll leave a link in the description below. And peace, everyone.